Candidate's office says the Biden administration has repeatedly disparaged the Sunshine State. DeSantis telling Fox News Harris is misinforming the public and attacking the people who put the standards together.
That's just wrong. I think it's wrong to let...
Hey there, me and Hannah decided to wear green hats today, even though mine doesn't match my shirt.
Twinsies.
You can't even tell hers is there because it's camo.
Yeah, I'm not wearing a hat, really. All right, today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no? Drop a comment about what you feel about the Devin Archer testimony.
And honestly, we're going to be talking about this throughout the day, so allow us to participate in that with you. Allow us to influence your decision, possibly.
And I know nothing about it, so I'll be learning along with the rest of you about the Devin Archer testimony.
It was behind closed doors yesterday, so it's kind of a slow story,
and it was only
but it's
two
a big
people.
Yeah, and there's only two people. Yeah, so if you read NBC News,
Did you just say it's something big?
No, I said if you maybe I did.
Hey.
If you listen to just NBC News, then they're just going to give you Dan Goldman's version of what he heard from behind the closed doors yesterday.
It was Dan Goldman and Andy Biggs.
Yeah, and I haven't heard as much from Andy Biggs as Dan Goldman. I think because Dan Goldman was so awful at sharing that information that reading the stories was almost like meta.
His initial press interaction after that was horrible.
It was horrible.
Also,
well, it was like he was going, well.
And then,
Yeah.
for everyone on the live stream that sees that man down in the corner right there, that is John Hancock. He is filling in today. So you'll
Hey.
hear
He's
his
hiding behind the microphone a little
great
bit.
voice.
that's how I roll. Katie. That's how I roll.
All right, so we have some guests lined up for today. Right at the top of the show, we are going to speak with Ryan Schmeltz.
Schmeltz from the Schmeltz family.
He is with Fox News Radio. He's their White House and Capitol Hill correspondent. He will be with us right at the top to talk about the Devin Archer testimony. So going along with our YouTube poll, he will be talking with us about that. Right after is my state's Attorney General.
Moag.
I've never heard that. Andrew Bailey.
I
He
think I
will be
just made
with
it
us
up.
at 12:25. He is going to be talking about the court order that Andrew Bailey himself obtained against the Biden administration for censoring free speech on social media platforms. Wow. He will be discussing that at 12:25.
If you can see Hannah's head, let us know in the comments, because it blends right into the background.
All right, you talk about the rest of what's going on.
Jim Carafano at 105. And what are you going to talk about? Ukraine with him?
Mostly Ukraine,
Okay.
getting a little China. Maybe the coup in Niger. Not many people are talking about the coup in Niger, but that's not insignificant.
Where is Niger?
It's in Africa.
Okay, no, then I don't know much about that.
Right.
Gary Shapley's on right now on Fox News. Anyway, Jim Carafano at 105, Wiggins America at 12:40 or 12:45. Best segment of the show by far.
No question.
I actually am looking forward to this because it is specific to you as a campaign strategist. It is questions about this campaign, a bunch of different headlines I'm just going to bring and just see what you think about, is there an angle here? Is there even a story here?
Incredible.
That kind of stuff. I'm looking forward to that. John's not, because I'm just going to put him on the hot seat, basically. And then Izzy Mahube, you want to tell us about her?
So Izzy is, she started singing when she was 13, and I think she's, 18 or 19 now, but she's got a really blossoming music career, kind of a folky rock singer, lives in Phoenix, Arizona. She's going to join us. Her first EP was just released.
So that'll be at 2:25 for a bit. And that's it.
Poll results at the end.
Yeah.
Once again, the YouTube poll is asking, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no? Let us know your thoughts on the comments.
Or as we say with my granddaughter, is it so big?
So big.
Your granddaughters are in her 20s?
She is 15 months old now,
Oh, okay.
and the cutest little button you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Aw.
All right.
Cool. Okay.
Thanks, guys.
See you in 1 minute.
1598. That's 314-373-1598. Compass Retirement Solutions. 314-373-1598. Firm offers insurance services but does not provide tax advice. Investments and services offered through Compass Retirement Group, a registered investment advisory firm in Missouri and Illinois. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal.
Updating your home with James Hardie Siding has never been more popular. With all the options available, you need a partner to ensure you maximize your investment. Siding Express is ready to refresh the appearance of your home or totally transform the look by installing Hardie shake, board and batten, lap siding, or a stone accent to make it your dream home again. Siding Express is an elite preferred James Hardie contractor. They also carry Anderson and Marvin windows and doors. Need ideas? Go to sidingexpress.com and schedule a free, no-obligation consultation today. sidingexpress.com.
Angie makes it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get your home projects done well, from repair to remodel. Book instantly at an upfront price or request quotes from multiple pros. Get started on the app or go to Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. Have questions after being injured in an accident? We'll match you with the Onder Law team that's right for you and your case.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock. I'm going to be in today and tomorrow for Annie. She's vacationing. Where is Annie off to? Does anybody know?
Florida.
Florida.
She's down in Florida.
There she is. She's having a good time, I'm sure, down in Florida. We've now turned the calendar page over to August, guys.
I don't know if I love that.
That means we are 1 year away from Missouri's primaries for governor, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, treasurer, and attorney general. Those are going to be very active campaigns next year. We're a year away. Can you believe it?
No, I actually didn't know it was August 1st. I knew it was around this time.
Well, it's not exactly a year to the date. The election can never be on August 1st because the elections are the first Tuesday after the first Monday of the month. So if this year were the election year, the election would actually be on August the 8th, which is the latest an election can ever be.
Okay.
Little factoid for you guys there. Speaking of factoids, big day on Capitol Hill yesterday. Devin Archer, the longtime business associate and one-time friend of Hunter Biden, who is himself, Devin Archer, about to go to prison for some unrelated felonies that he committed. He appeared yesterday before James Comer's committee, the House Oversight Committee, behind closed doors, and gave testimony about President Joe Biden's relationship with Hunter as it relates to the businesses. Our poll question of the day, Wiggy, is
the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no? No in between. You got to let us know.
This could be the start of something big.
Is it something big? Which to me means that it would be something that carries on past this week. Something that we continue to talk about for a long time, because if it's just the news cycle and it kind of moves on, then that to me is not something big. But if we're still talking about this a month from now or beyond, it is big.
Do I share my vote now, or do I keep silent and let the people speak?
Well, host, that is up to you.
Well,
do you want to talk about it now or not? Please, actually, now that you've said it, I want to know.
It's something big. Yeah, we'll be talking about this for a good while, I believe. And our guest is with us. Now somebody who knows, because they're covering Capitol Hill for Fox News, the White House in Capitol Hill. Talking about Ryan Schmeltz with Fox News. He joins us right now on the Annie Frey Show. Ryan, thanks so much. Welcome aboard.
Absolutely. Always great to be on.
So this testimony yesterday, behind closed doors, let's start with the highlights. The Joe Biden involvement, I think, for me, is the biggest highlight. What have we learned?
Right. So based off what we've been told, and we had one Democrat go in there and a couple other Republicans, and Devin Archer took about 2 hours worth of questioning. And what we understand is that when Joe Biden was the vice president of the United States, he joined Hunter Biden's dinners with his foreign business associates, either in person or by speakerphone, over 20 times throughout his time in office. Now, based off of what Republicans have said, is that you have Chairman Comer from the Oversight Committee coming out and saying that this is an example and confirmation that President Biden, quote, lied to the American people when he said he had no knowledge about his son's business dealings and was not involved. But then you have Congressman Dan Goldman from New York coming out and saying that, yes, he had these conversations, but they strictly were on personal matters, the weather and other issues like that, and didn't involve business. Therefore, there's still no evidence President Biden has done anything wrong here.
Well, just on its face, my son's 29. He lives in Chicago. And I very much am aware of his business activities because we talk all the time. And I say, hey, how's work going? And I mean, it's a little disingenuous to think that the president, the now president of the United States, and his son, who's having, he's had a number of difficulties, shall we say, that he's not going to be involved. If he loves his son the way he says he loves his son, how is he not going to know about his business dealings?
Right, and that's certainly something that keeps getting brought up. And one thing that was pointed out yesterday was that you have Republicans pointing out that Devin Archer testified that there was value of adding Hunter Biden to Burisma's board because he was, quote, part of the brand, and confirmed that then Vice President Joe Biden was, quote, the brand, and that those 20 phone calls were to sell potential investors or other business associates on the Biden brand. So that was a word that kept getting floated around by House Republicans yesterday, and whether or not it's going to lead to anything, I think that's still up in the air.
Ryan, this is also Ryan, so it should be easy to remember.
Oh, yeah.
I want to step back away from just Devin Archer here. I mean, we are talking about this story in particular today and yesterday and maybe beyond. But what is that we as American people should be concerned that Joe Biden may have been doing that is either illegal or, at least on its face, very uncompromising?
Right. So what Republicans are trying to find out here is if President Biden, when he was vice president, took a bribe from a foreign national in exchange for policy decisions. Now, they do have a significant trail of money that they have to follow, and there is a big burden of proof here to ultimately prove that President Biden or Vice President Biden participated in anything like that. And that's one reason why you see Democrats saying that Republicans have repeatedly failed to bring the evidence necessary to do so. But, the Republicans continue to bring witnesses to the table. Some of them have testified publicly, others behind closed doors, and some of them have been viewed as more substantial than others. And certainly when you had IRS whistleblowers a couple weeks ago who were, in many ways very close to the investigation into Hunter Biden, those ones get a lot of attention in many ways.
We're visiting with Ryan Schmeltz. He's a Fox News White House and Capitol Hill correspondent. What's been known now for quite some time is that Joe Biden was instrumental in removing the prosecutor in Ukraine, Viktor Shokin, from his position. We also know that Viktor Shokin was investigating Burisma. We also know that Hunter Biden was on Burisma's board at that time. It seems to me that if there's any kind of quid pro quo going on here, it's going to be related to that. What do we know about the firing of Shokin, and what are both sides saying about it?
Well, what's interesting about that is that you had Goldman, the representative, the Democrat we spoke about before. He came out yesterday and said that based off of Archer's testimony, it turns out that the prosecutor was actually in the pocket of Burisma, and in many ways he was helpful to Burisma in terms of them getting what they needed. Yes, there was an investigation, but in many ways some people believe that was a sham investigation that was going to go nowhere. So he believes that Vice President Biden and other members of the Biden administration helping to remove him from his office actually hurt Hunter Biden's business affairs over in Ukraine rather than helping them. So that was certainly the argument you heard being made by Dan Golden, counteractive of that being a quid pro quo situation.
Ryan Schmeltz, what happens now with Devin Archer? Do we stop hearing from him? Is he done and now we have to sift through what he's said, or is he still a part of things? I mean, what on Tuesday going forward, what happens?
Right. His lawyer released a statement pretty much saying that he wasn't doing this for politics. He was doing this because he was asked to, and he gave, honest answers to whoever was asking questions yesterday. But, I think there could be a possibility he may testify publicly at a hearing down the road. I wouldn't rule that out. I think there's a lot of different ways this could go. Obviously, there's information that he gave both sides, and Republicans certainly seem like they're going to try to follow up on that information and see if it goes anywhere. But Devin Archer could get looped back into this, too, because the Department of Justice sent a letter to a judge that was sentencing him to jail within the next, I don't know when the exact timeline is, but pretty much the DOJ was requesting that judge set a date for him, and they did this just a couple of days before he was supposed to testify. So that has raised a lot of eyebrows from the House Judiciary Committee, and some of them are actually calling on that committee to come back to Washington to have a hearing on whether or not there was DOJ interference in this case.
That's Ryan Schmeltz. He's the Fox News White House and Capitol Hill correspondent. Thanks so much for your time this afternoon on 97.1.
Guys, have a good one.
All right. So here we've got, there's a whole lot of smoke here, Wiggy.
Yeah.
And I don't know that the fire has been perceived yet, but there is a whole lot of smoke here.
So I want to pick back up on what we were saying right before Ryan joined us there, that you do think this is something big.
Yeah.
Which means that if you're saying it's smoke right now, you're saying the fire is to come.
Look, it's what we don't know yet. There's been allegations. There's this FBI form that's out there that says Joe Biden was paid by the Chinese. But that's not proven yet. But clearly, if Joe Biden's receiving money while he's vice president of the United States and his son's receiving money, then there's nothing good you can say about that.
Is that the key to the whole thing? Is finding not just people to say, I mean, this kind of is a big deal, in my opinion, because we are more and more, every layer you peel back, you realize that Joe Biden was just straight up lying. I saw clips resurface of him in the debate with Trump, talking about his business dealings, and then over the years of him being president, now talking about how he had no involvement.
Well, and look, it's not just Hunter Biden. It's the brother,
right,
and the wives, and this whole influence peddling thing. It was a Biden family constructed, and it's not new. It's been around for decades.
And we know about just Hunter Biden's because he's such a mess that he left his laptop and kind of opened the door.
Yes,
but
did.
if his wife had left her laptop or so, it probably would be the same thing. It's just that we have so much evidence against him.
Well, like the other side of this is so interesting, and that there might be a little more than just smoke here, is whenever you listen to what the White House is saying now. So originally, Joe Biden's line was, I don't ever even talk to my son about his business dealings.
Right.
I wasn't involved in that. Now he's saying we were not involved in business together, which is a very it sounds like a small change, but that's the line from the White House now.
And look, it's not believable that a father and a son aren't going to talk about the son's business dealings. I mean, that's just not believable on its face. If you've ever been a parent and had a kid that's got a job or started a business, or of course you're going to ask him about it. Of course you're going to be as helpful as you can to him. The question is here, has it crossed the line into influence peddling? And that's, I think, what the committee's investigating, and we'll see. Here's the last thing I want to say for now on the Hunter Biden situation. The whole plea deal falling apart last week, gosh, seems like a month ago. It was last week. I think it was Tuesday.
Yeah, it
last
was.
Week.
A week ago.
The DOJ says there's still an ongoing open investigation. Now, here's the thing that it didn't take 5 years to find these two tax allegations. They've been investigating this guy for 5 years. And the most linear thing, if he's out there representing Burisma and potentially the China, and he's not registered as a foreign agent for the purposes of doing his government relations work, that's a crime. That's exactly what Paul Manafort was sent to prison by the Mueller report for. And how that's not come out as part of this is mind-boggling to me. So we're going to keep an eye on this. We may revisit this topic today. I do think that's the big breaking news of the day. There could be other breaking news. It's the trade deadline in Major League Baseball. So we'll keep an ear to the ground to see who's moving away from St. Louis on this Cardinal underperforming roster. But when we come back, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, he's got a lot of balls in the air, some of them about the freedom of our speech. And that's next on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1
FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
After all, I knew it had to be something to do with you. I really don't mind what happens now and then, as long as you'll be my friend at the end.
Getting a $54 service check on your HVAC system is a smart move with Air Comfort Service. I want to tell you about how they are taking care of you. Call and mention the Annie Frey Show and book your HVAC system check for $54 right now. 314-513-0091. It is hot in St. Louis, and you need to make sure that your HVAC system is being checked by the team at Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation so that you know that it's working in good order. Unlike a lot of heating and cooling companies, Air Comfort Service checks your entire system, not just the AC, because it's summer. That's why they call it the system check. Mention the Annie Frey Show when you call. Get in your comfort zone this summer with Air Comfort Service Heating and Cooling and Insulation. 314-513-0091. 314-513-0091. Air Comfort Service are the only HVAC folks that I call to come service my home. They have done a lot of work there. I am a customer of them. You will appreciate their great service and products. 314-513-0091. AirComfortService.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
Thomas Helbig, Bob Kershaw, and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group are inviting you once again for another Protecting Your Retirement educational event. But so am I. I'm going to be there. I would love the opportunity to meet you. It's happening Tuesday, August 8th at the Frontenac Hilton once again at 6:30 p.m. That's the event start. You're going to want to be there a little bit earlier, and that's when I get the opportunity to meet you and shake your hand and thank you for being a listener of the Annie Frey Show, a listener of 97.1 FM Talk. We have loved partnering with Thomas Helbig for so many years because we know that the people who listen to what he has to say and have chosen to work with him, they're very happy with the success that they've had. If you're nearing retirement, if you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event. You need to sign up, though, because space is limited at the Frontenac Hilton. Tuesday, August 8th at 6:30 p.m. You call and register by going to 314-993-9494. That's 314-993-9494. You can register online as well by visiting retirementkey.com. You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is celebrating 54 years of residential and commercial service, maintenance, and installation of heating and cooling systems. Get in your comfort zone. Visit aircomfortservice.com.
The Heritage Foundation is coming back to St. Louis.
Jim Carafano, Hans von Spakovsky, Genevieve Wood.
Join us August 9th. Tickets are only $10 at Tapawingo National Golf Club. Secure your tickets at 971talk.com/events. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter @AnnieFryShow.
That's some hard driving rock and roll for all you rock and roll fans out there. It's the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock in today and tomorrow. Who's guest hosting the rest of the week, Wiggs?
Me.
Nice.
On Thursday with the team, really kind of like a all of us in kind of thing.
All hands on deck.
All hands on deck. We love doing that every now and then when we can. And then on Friday, I think Mike Elan's back.
No, very nice.
Yeah.
Well, it's a good little change of pace, but everybody will be glad to have Annie back. And I'll tell you who I'm glad to have back is the Attorney General of the state of Missouri, Andrew Bailey. He joins us right now. General Bailey, welcome back to 97.1.
Hey, John. Good to hear from you. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. So this lawsuit of yours against Joe Biden and the Biden administration, you've already won in court on the free speech. What's the status of that right now? Is it under appeal? Are you still in the process of discovery? Where is this thing?
Yeah, well, we're not going to let Joe Biden destroy the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. That's what this fight's all about. And we won at the district court level on a preliminary injunction. We've got to build a wall of separation between tech and state to protect Americans' First Amendment rights and this kind of First Amendment violations by the federal government. The first brick of that wall was laid on July 4th when the district court put down that court order preventing Joe Biden from censoring Americans' political viewpoints on big tech social media platforms. And it's on appeal. We're at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals. We'll be arguing the case in August. And we are confident in our legal position and ultimate success on the merits. Think about what the judge said. All the judge said, it was a 155-page court order. But at the very end of it, all he's actually ordering, all the trial court's actually ordering is that Joe Biden can't violate the First Amendment. He can't censor, he can't work with big tech social media to censor core political speech protected by the First Amendment. What was there to appeal? Why did Biden's Department of Justice appeal? They're that dedicated to violating the First Amendment that they had to appeal that case and said they would suffer irreparable harm if they weren't allowed to continue violating the First Amendment. So we're confident in ultimate success at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals, and we'll take the case back to district court and start real discovery. We've only just begun to scratch the surface of this.
And your discovery so far has turned up some pretty incredible facts.
Oh, my gosh. These are the worst First Amendment violations in this nation's history. 20,000 documents, numerous depositions. And again, we've only just scratched the surface. We know that the White House used COVID as the excuse to begin censoring American speech on big tech social media platforms. They said, look, anybody expressing hesitancy about the vaccine or questioning the effectiveness of mask mandates or, positing that perhaps China leaked the virus on the rest of the world through a lab in Wuhan province, that, we got to silence those political speech on big tech social media. But it moved from there. And now it seems like that vast censorship enterprise has grown so large that the federal government had to design a new bureaucratic structure to manage it. I mean, Jen Psaki admitted from the White House podium with brazen impunity that they were dedicated to silencing anyone who questioned Biden's response to COVID. But again, this is scary because it's moved beyond COVID. The pandemic is over, according to the White House, but we now see that they're outsourcing some of this censorship to a group called the Election Integrity Project. We've got to get this under control and get this wall of separation built between tech and state to protect the integrity of our election coming up next year.
So on the one hand, we got a wall of separation protecting our First Amendment. On the other hand, you're involved in another case with the Biden administration about there being no wall, him halting the construction of the border wall. Where does that case stand right now?
Well, happy we were able to deliver a win at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in that case to force the suit forward, to force Biden to build the border wall. Look, Congress appropriated money with the express intention of that border wall being finished. We've got to force Joe Biden to secure our national border and protect our national sovereignty. It's his unwillingness to protect the southern border and allow chaos at the southern border has empowered cartels. It's resulted in increased flow of fentanyl into the United States of America and increased human trafficking. It's making Missouri communities less safe. And so that's what that lawsuit is all about, is forcing him to finish construction of the border wall pursuant to the appropriations bill enacted by Congress. Proud to say we delivered a win recently at the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals in that case, and we'll keep fighting to protect Missourians and enforce the rule of law at the border.
Well, and when you win at the Court of Appeals level, the last thing that Biden can do is take it to the Supreme Court. That's probably not going to work out so well as it relates to securing the border of the United States. And you point out correctly, that for many years, I think the immigration issue was a regional issue, the border states that were feeling the pinch. It's a national problem, and it's affecting every corner of the country, including Missouri and its people. It's truly a crisis.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's absolute chaos at the border. We know that the cartels have only grown in strength and power and authority there at the border. They filled the vacuum created by Joe Biden when he refused to enforce the laws on the books. We know that the immigration law has not changed very much since the 1980s. It's largely the same. So President Trump had the same tools at his disposal to get the problem under control that President Biden had. And what President Trump did was enforce the rule of law. He forced the Remain in Mexico policy, and it reduced border crossings by more than 90%. And yet there were people lined up ready to cross the border on Inauguration Day when Joe Biden took over. I mean, he clearly has telegraphed to the rest of the world that it's okay to violate America's immigration law, which is incorrect. He's supposed to ensure that the laws are faithfully executed, not pervert the law or ignore the law to allow in anybody who wants to come in and to violate statute to do so. I mean, again, every state's a border state, to your point, and it's making Missouri communities less safe because Joe Biden's refusing to protect our national sovereignty.
Well, and you think about the practicality of what's actually happening now because of the federal government's inaction and because the federal government has basically put a vacancy sign up at the border saying, come on in. States are now having to take matters into their own hands. You have Texas, who set up some buoys. Now the federal government's going after them to stop that policy. It's just not an indifference. It's an aggressive opening of our border to illegal people coming in. That's what the federal government's doing here.
Well, and it also undermines the rule of law and our constitutional separation of powers. Again, the executive branch is to ensure that the laws are faithfully executed, even laws you disagree with. And so he's got to enforce the border laws. But ideologically, look where the left is on this issue. This is the flashpoint in a much broader conversation. The government is absent where needed and everywhere where unwanted. In other words, Joe Biden's more than willing to promulgate rules that are an attack on Missouri agriculture, promulgate rules to take away your gas stoves and tell you who can and can't use the bathroom next to you and what you can and can't drive, but then refuses to enforce the laws that are on the books, like the border law. So it's just a misplaced priorities. Again, it undermines the rule of law and undermines our constitutional system of government. And taking him to court's the best way I know to hold him accountable and ensure that the laws are faithfully enforced.
Maybe instead of building the wall, we could just put some gas stoves down there. That might keep everybody out. Hey, the other thing I wanted to talk about before we let you go, and we're visiting with Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, is the Supreme Court's recent decision on affirmative action, basically prohibiting the use of preferential quotas for the purpose of college admissions. It affects every university in the country and certainly in the state. I know you have sent a letter to the Missouri universities explaining the decision. Are you getting any pushback on that so far?
No, in fact, I've been very proud that our state has responded appropriately. Look, the promise of the 14th Amendment Equal Protection Clause was that we were going to end discrimination based on race in the United States of America. That's what the drafters and ratifiers of the 14th Amendment understood when they enacted that provision in the United States Constitution. And shame on the Supreme Court back in the 1990s for creating this confusion and this loophole when it came to institutions of higher education. But the major universities have said they're going to comply with the new law. I'm proud to have led the effort on behalf of the state of Missouri on this. I think we were the first state to act when we received that opinion and analyzed it. And again, as the court points out, the best way to end racial discrimination in the United States of America is to stop discriminating based on race. That's the promise of the 14th Amendment. We intend to ensure that that promise is fulfilled.
Mr. Bailey, this is Ryan Wiggins. I want to jump in just because this topic, I saw a headline about it this morning, and I thought, gosh, I hope that's not going to be the new MO for universities. And I don't know that this was in Missouri. It was a university somewhere else that was beginning to use videos as part of their admissions so that they could see you essentially and see what race are you and maybe get around that opinion. Is that something that you're concerned about in Missouri, that these universities are just going to kind of figure out a way around that opinion?
Well, globally, yeah, that concerns me. If folks are trying to undermine the Constitution of the United States of America by finding new and innovative ways to discriminate based on race, that should disturb all of us. We don't have any reason to believe that's happening in Missouri at the present time, given that we've received really positive feedback from universities in Missouri. And so we're going to be vigilant about this. Again, the promise of the 14th Amendment is that folks are going to be treated equally, and we're not going to discriminate based on race in Missouri.
Yeah, and the bottom line is there are admissions standards in place, and there's a point system. You look at the transcripts from high school, you look at the college test scores. They do have a formula, and I would assume that all of the schools in Missouri have such a formula, or do they not?
By and large, they do. Yeah, exactly. And, that helps with holding folks accountable to the law. And if you're a university, why wouldn't you want to be held accountable to the law? Why wouldn't you want to show your work so that when you do get challenged on something like this, you can say, look, I did this the right way? And I think that's where Missouri universities are. But I have no doubt that within broader academia, that's an issue. Look, the left consistently tries to hide racial discrimination and couch it in terms that seem palatable at first, like environmental and social governance or, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those sound benign terms, but really those are just a Trojan horse for racial discrimination. We're fighting that on all fronts. We have lawsuits against the Department of Labor for trying to promulgate those kinds of rules. Obviously, we put universities on notice, and we'll keep fighting that fight to ensure that we are fulfilling the promise of the Constitution and the 14th Amendment.
So last thing before we let you go, where are we with this whole targeting transgender kids and so forth? I know you had recently sent a letter. Where does that stand?
Well, Target shows the wrong side in the culture war and need to be held accountable, and that's what the letter was all about. Look, I would challenge anyone to show me when Target has ever marketed a T-shirt or an article of clothing or anything that had the text of the Second Amendment on it, or that maybe had a Bible verse on it. But instead what they're going to do is put this smut and trash out there that attempts to sexualize children and again, cloak it under the guise of diversity. This isn't diversity. This is a violation of parental rights. I have the right to talk to my children and raise them consistent with my values and talk to them at the appropriate age and in the appropriate manner about human sexuality, not Target. And there are child protection laws on the books as well. So I was proud to join with like-minded other state attorneys general to put Target on notice. And I think consumers have the loudest mouthpiece on this issue. They have the loudest loudspeaker, and that is you get to choose where you want to spend your dollars. And for me, for one, I'm not going to support that kind of nonsense that tries to shove these perversions down the throats of the American people under the guise of diversity. It's not diversity. It's regressivism.
Okay, I lied. I've got one more question. Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey is our guest. Earlier, I guess it was last week, Missouri Congresswoman Cori Bush issued a statement and introduced some legislation in Washington that would ban solitary confinement as part of our correctional system. You're the chief law enforcement officer of Missouri. You have any thoughts on that legislation?
Yeah, that's a terrible idea. Look, we've got to be able to use solitary confinement or protective custody to ensure the safety and well-being of our offender population to be able to manage our prisons. And I mean, she has no idea what she's talking about. This woman is consistently wrong on every single policy issue she weighs in on. And it was, at this point, it's laughable. I mean, luckily she's so ineffective that she never gets anything done in Congress. And thank goodness she's so extreme and so outrageous that people don't take her seriously, because nonsense like this would put our correctional facilities at risk, and it would become unmanageable. So yet again, unsurprisingly, she's wrong on a policy position.
Well, we thank you for your time, Attorney General Andrew Bailey of the state of Missouri. We appreciate it. Have yourself a good rest of the week. And when we come back, Wiggins America, everybody's favorite part of the Annie Frey Show, right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
When you're shopping for jewelry, it's a very, very important part of the process to go to somewhere you can trust. I shop at The Diamond Shop in Clayton. If you go to The Diamond Shop and you visit them and you meet Tom, Mona, Nikki, any of the amazing sales folks that they have there, you are quickly going to understand how they build generational relationships with people all around the St. Louis bi-state region. Buying jewelry is all about trusting the person you're buying it from and believing that they have that knowledge and experience that you probably don't, I certainly don't, to guide you through that purchase. The Diamond Shop's longevity speaks for itself and how trustworthy they are to people like you and to people like me and how much knowledge and experience they have. Right now, if you are shopping at the Diamond Shop, you're going to enjoy their summer clearance sale. Up to 70% off select items from now through August 19th. If you want to become a VIP at the Diamond Shop, it's simple to do. It's free to do. Just visit them on their website. Learn about their summer clearance sale. Their 6 months same as cash. It's all right there online at thediamondshop.net.
Hi, I'm Tom Connors. Went to Mark Patrick's hypnosis seminar February 6, 2019. Nothing worked before. Left there and never smoked again. Amazing. Easy, affordable, and guaranteed. A year later, with my wife Michelle, attended Mark Patrick's weight loss seminar. She lost 18 pounds and I lost 43 in 8 weeks.
It's true. He smoked 2 packs a day and nothing worked until Mark Patrick Hypnosis. Now we're losing weight together, eating healthy, full on half the food, crazy, enjoying exercising. Who would have believed Mark Patrick Hypnosis really works?
It's amazing. I can breathe again. My blood pressure went down and I've got so much energy.
So much energy.
And look great.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings. That's right. Seminar Saturday, August 5th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Or Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Mark Cox here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how to link to the market without the risk. They're the official financial advisors of my show. Go online to retirementkey.com.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
Your company's security and privacy may be on the line every time you send an email. Mark Cox here from my friends at River City Internet Group and myemailservice.com. They are a locally owned and operated email provider with their own facilities, their own servers, their own data center for your security. Talk to them today. They will help you migrate your email along with your IT department to make sure you have the best deal and possibly save thousands of dollars. Go online today to myemailservice.com.
Hey, Wiggins America is coming up next, followed by Jim Carafano at 1:05. And today's YouTube live chat poll, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no? We'd like to know. Hannah will read back your comments at 2:45. Right now, it is 12:43. This time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
Are we one of your top presets?
You were giving off that vibe, so if you want to take it to that level.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
Take your hand, my dear, and place them both in mine. You know you stop me.
It is the Annie Frey Show here on 97.1 FM Talk. I'm John Hancock, filling in for Annie today. I love the format of this show because it's 3 segments an hour instead of 4, and so you've really got time to dig into topics in this format. I'm on the other station, KMOX, 4 segments an hour.
Well, at different day parts it is too.
Right.
Even here, when things have to move a little bit quicker, sometimes it's 4.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But I love the 3 segment. It's whoever came up with that, give him a cigar, because that's good. But now, folks, without any further ado, we don't like a lot of ado around here, because we're in everybody's favorite little space here of the day on the Annie Frey Show.
Nation.
It's an amazing time. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Wiggins America.
Wiggins! Oh! Wiggins! Yeah, we don't like ado here either. We just get straight to the point. We don't joke around much. We just like to bring the facts.
Bring the facts.
And those today are going to be shot at you.
Shooting the facts at me.
I'm basically going to pull the clay pigeons,
all right,
and I'm going to let you shoot them. And we're going to see how you do, because what I have is a bunch of stories about things that maybe that we are talking about, but not in specific.
All right.
About the 2024 election.
Go right ahead.
And as a strategist,
yes,
I want to know your opinion about these things,
all
whether
right,
they are things we should be watching, things we should not. The first one, I'll start with this one. Cornel West third-party presidential campaign is stirring up unpleasant flashbacks to 2016 for members of the Democrat Party, some of whom are starting to grow anxious about the effect it could have on President Biden's reelection. I think I brought up Cornel West in this space before, but this is the Green Party candidate this year, or likely. I don't know that he's actually been nominated yet, but he probably will. We'll start with just him instead of all third-party candidates,
right,
but just with Cornel West and the Green Party. Is this something that Democrats on the Beltway should be concerned about, having him on the ballot?
Yes. You're talking about 1%, 1.3%. He's got a little bit of recognition among the progressive left.
Right.
He's also would have the best hairdo of any president in the history of the country, but that's beside the point. He's not going to win.
Better than Trump?
Well, now you make an excellent point there. Of course, he's not going to win. But is he going to siphon off some votes that otherwise would have gone to Joe Biden? I think the answer to that is clearly yes. The question is, what percentage of it? We're going to have a president elected, I predict, in 2024, neither of whom is going to get 50% of the popular vote. And West will siphon. Now, the Libertarian Party generally siphons a little bit more from Republicans than it does Democrats. And so and they tend to run at a slightly higher level. They'll be in that 2-3% sweet spot, maybe higher with Trump as the nominee. So, but the Democrats would be wise they're going to have to take Cornel West or whomever the Green Party candidate is into account. Bigger threat for them is this new movement that's called No Labels.
No Labels, yeah.
And the Missouri's former governor, Jay Nixon, came out supportive of No Labels yesterday.
And Dick Gephardt, I just did a piece over the weekend about how Dick Gephardt is actively campaigning against it.
Yeah, most Democrats are.
Yeah. But he's out there. He was on PBS NewsHour this week doing it.
Yeah. Most establishment Democrats are, because that would do wonders, in my opinion, to assist Donald Trump or whomever the Republican nominee is to winning the Electoral College in 24.
Does it matter who the candidate is for this? What's weird is that we were talking for the last year or so about this Forward Party.
Right.
That was gaining some traction with Andrew Yang or whoever. And now I haven't heard anything about them, but everybody's talking about No Labels.
No Labels has got money. And so because they have money and they're working on ballot access, when you're a third party or a new party, unlike the Green Party, which has ballot status in most states in the country, and certainly the Libertarians have ballot status in most states, which means you just have to file and you're on the ballot. A third party, a new party, an independent candidate has got requirements in every state that are different. Sometimes there's signature requirements. There's all kinds of hurdles that are put in place, impediments for these third parties. No Labels has the resources, potentially, to compete in enough states to where they could make a pretty profound difference. Think about Ross Perot in 1992, for example. He got 19% of the vote in Missouri. That's a significant impact. I don't think No Labels can win the White House, but depending, as you say, on who the nominee is, it probably is going to help the GOP challenger, which I believe is going to be Donald Trump.
If it's not Joe Manchin, does it matter? Because if it's Joe Manchin, it seems like it will matter.
Yeah. Although, you can make a case that Manchin could draw from Republican votes as well. He's somewhat popular on the right, of course, because he's been the guy standing in the way of a lot of the worst impulses of the Biden administration. So, whether Manchin, I think Democrats will be able to put enough pressure on Manchin to keep him from doing that. So we'll see who they go with. They could go with a Larry Hogan. I've heard that name floated, the Republican governor of Maryland. But we'll see. But that's an existential threat, I think, to the Democrats.
All right, next one strategist is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is mounting a campaign in Iowa to challenge incumbent President Joe Biden. Of course, they're not going to be debates as long as everything stays the way it is now, but he's challenging Joe Biden for the Democratic nomination, hiring staff, recruiting canvassers and volunteers, looking for an Iowa headquarters, and planning to spend money on ads for TV, the internet, and mail. Is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. any sort of threat to not just the independents there, as we were talking about, but the Democrat side?
So he's not a threat to take the nomination. He's not going to be the Democrat nominee for president. But here's where he is a problem for Biden, in Iowa specifically. So Biden's numbers amongst Democrats are not great. And there's certainly a passion deficit as it relates to Joe Biden. There's not a lot of passion behind his candidacy. And a lot of Democrats, privately and some publicly, wish that they could have some other alternative than Biden. Robert F. Kennedy's not it. But if he runs in such a race in Iowa, which is a retail state, and Biden's not really going to try and compete in Iowa because those delegates don't count the way they've reconfigured their thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the perceptual impact of Joe Biden looking weak in an Iowa caucus, even though it doesn't matter in terms of the Democrat nomination process, the optics of that are not good for a candidate, Biden, who's flawed, who is weak. And that perception coming out of the first caucus in the country could do him some damage. I think, it's just my little nutso theory, I don't think Joe Biden will be the Democratic nominee for president.
You're not alone in that. I mean,
there.
that's not a nuts theory. I do. I really believe that he will. But I think there are more people who agree with you than you would think.
Range?
Yeah, I don't think he will be. We've talked about this a lot on this show about who do we think it would be? Why do we think it would be Biden? Why do we think it wouldn't be Biden? Who is the other possibilities? Some nightmare scenarios include possibly Michelle Obama picking up the mantle, which is terrifying. Gavin Newsom's the other one.
Right.
At this point, I think Newsom's more likely. But I just don't
forget our buddy next door, the big boy.
Yeah, J.B. Pritzker.
Yeah.
That man would get sliced and diced on a national stage. But there is no. I don't see Biden having the physical ability to be president for another term. So basically, a vote for Biden would be a vote for his VP.
So here's my little conspiracy theory on the thing. If you look at the polling right now, on the GOP side, I don't see any possibility at this point where Donald Trump is not the Republican nominee. His support is deep, it is passionate, and he's over 50% in a multi-candidate field. If you just look at the historical numbers, there have been very few candidates that have that, non-incumbent candidates that have that kind of a standing in the primary polls, and now we're only several months out from the first caucuses and primaries. So any Republican that has a hope or expectation that we're going to move on from Donald Trump is probably incorrect at this point. Regardless of what you think of Trump, just looking at it coldly as a political analyst, he's going to be the Republican nominee. So there's A. B is, if you look at the national polling right now, the head-to-head polling between Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and he's either slightly behind, he's most often slightly behind, but within the margin of error, or slightly ahead, but within the margin of error. Consistently, every credible poll that's out there, he is in a stronger position against Joe Biden today in a head-to-head for president than he was at any point in time during the 2020 election cycle. And if I'm a Democrat looking at that, and I've got a candidate in Joe Biden who is not very popular, has very little passionate support, who is getting, whether he's merited it or not, blamed for the state of the economy. I think he deserves it. They're going to want to find an alternative because the thought of Donald Trump being president of the United States scares the whatever adjective you want to use out of him. And so I think at some point they're going to go to Joe Biden and they're going to say, look, Mr. President, your service is great. And because it's not just a Joe Biden problem they have, it's a Kamala Harris problem they have, neither of whom are popular. And I think the one thing that, you're talking about impeach Biden, well, be careful what you wish for there, folks, because Kamala Harris as president of the United States is not exactly give you warm fuzzies. So I think at some point they move on from Biden, and I think it's Gavin Newsom. And I think it's Gavin Newsom because the president and the vice president, according to our wonderful Constitution, cannot be from the same state. So Gavin Newsom solves their Joe Biden problem. He also solves their Kamala Harris problem. And so that's where I think this is going to go, because the polling doesn't lie. It is what it is. I'm not saying Donald Trump is an automatic winner against Joe Biden, but he certainly could be. And what is inarguable is that he is stronger in the polling data nationally today than he was at any point in the 2020 cycle, including back to 2019. So there you had that.
I want to follow up with you on that later in the show because I got a question for you, but I want to get to this last one before we run out of time because it's a strategy question.
Okay.
And like I said, that's what we're doing here in Wiggins America today. The headline from Fox News, Democrats failing epically to reach black male voters heading into 2024. People are warning, and they're pulling from stats. They're pulling from polls. Yeah. Is this a big concern for Democrats going into 2024 that it specifically black male voters might be abandoning them in enough numbers to impact things?
Yeah, and I think you've got to look at that from the standpoint of what's happening with younger male voters generally. Younger male voters, and I'm thinking about those 18 to 25, 30-year-old voters out there who have been getting pummeled by the progressive left. In polling, they're showing up as conservatives now, which is pretty remarkable. And I think young black males are probably part of that same demographic shift. But the Democrats have got a structural problem with young African Americans, I think, because the lack of what have they done? What have the Democrats delivered? And, politics is not stagnant. It does shift. It wasn't too many decades ago where black people voted Republican in massive numbers. Now, that's not going to happen anytime soon again, but the Democrats better keep an eye because that's a 96% faithful base for them. And if they erode there, they're in real trouble.
Thanks. Good analysis.
All right, there you have it. Next hour, Jim Carafano is going to join us. Thanks for sticking around. Join us on the stream. Answer the quiz. We'll see you next hour.
I want to talk to you about Window World, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Window World windows are one of the 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They've ranked #1 in windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. If you have a window purchase in your future, or even, I'm going to be honest, a window inquiry in your future, call 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. They provide a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Plus, Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. And Window World is now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call my friends at Window World and get the process started today. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Don't miss out on this opportunity for your replacement window purchase. WindowWorld.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/radio. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands to treat ED at up to 95% off. That's right, the same active ingredient as the brand name for 95% less. It's the same ED medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
Attention taxpayers, ready for some bad news? With $80 billion in new funding from Congress, the IRS has launched their most aggressive hiring campaign ever to ramp up enforcement. If you're ignoring your taxes, don't delay another minute because your paycheck, your bank account, even your home or business could already be at risk. Now, here's the good news. Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax relief firm, can get to work immediately, helping to protect you from the IRS. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, their tax attorneys and licensed professionals are experts at resolving tax problems. Let them help determine if you qualify for the Fresh Start Initiative or other powerful IRS tax assistance programs. Take control. Call Optima Tax Relief now for a free consultation.
Call 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122. 800-987-6122.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
An accused serial killer due back in court. Lisa Brady, Fox News. It's a hearing at this hour for Rex Heuermann, charged with killing 3 women whose bodies were among 11 found on Long Island's Gilgo Beach. Suffolk County DA Ray Tierney tells Fox News he looks forward to proving the allegations in court.
I think when you talk about the areas of interest with regard to cell site locations, Massapequa Park, Midtown Manhattan, that's where the defendant lived. That's where the defendant worked. The avalanche, the description of the driver of the avalanche, and of course the hairs.
Heuermann has already pleaded not guilty on 6 counts of murder, 2 for each victim. Today marks his first appearance before the trial judge. The U.S. is not planning to evacuate Americans from Niger after an apparent coup in the West African nation.
France and other European nations are evacuating citizens from Niger as concerns mount over a military takeover of the government. So far, those plans are not underway by the Biden administration.
We don't have any indications of direct threats to U.S. citizens or to our facilities, and so we've not changed our posture with respect to our presence in Niger.
White House National Security Council Coordinator for Strategic Communications, John Kirby, says the U.S. is engaged in finding a diplomatic solution, and U.S. officials say aid could be cut if the coup is successful.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. The U.S. military has a presence in Niger as part of counterterrorism operations. The White House says President Biden has been briefed on the American nurse and her daughter kidnapped in Haiti.
It's been 5 days since Alex Dorsonville, originally from New Hampshire, and her young daughter were reported kidnapped from the campus of the nonprofit where she worked as a nurse just outside of Port-au-Prince.
Fox's Molly Line, the nonprofit group, says it's working with U.S. and Haitian authorities trying to help secure their release. America is listening to Fox News.
At Simply Safe, we've designed award-winning home security with advanced sensors, HD cameras, and now this 24/7 LifeGuard protection, only from Simply Safe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Let's get a short break from the unsettled weather. Partly sunny skies this afternoon. Great temperatures, 82 degrees. Tonight, here it comes again. Periods of showers and thunderstorms, some downpours at times, 68. Keep that going Wednesday. Periods of showers and thunderstorms, windy, downpours at times, 84 for the high, 90 on Thursday, 92 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
97.1 FM Talk. You're here because everybody needs an oasis. St. Louis's home for conservative talk. 97.1 FM Talk.
Stewart's American Mortgage is the #1 place to go to get your mortgage secured. If you're looking for the bagel loan, folks, you are going to look nowhere else other than Stewie, because Stewie's the only one who has the bagel loan. The bagel loan is called the Bagel Loan. Yes, like the breakfast food, or you could eat it anytime, I suppose. Bagels look like a zero, so he calls it the Bagel Loan to remind you that you pay zero in fees that other lenders out there are going to charge you for. Stewie takes care of you. He will work with you to help you, give you options, and guide you in what is going to be financially the best for you right now and also in the future. Call Stewie or text Stewie at 314-324-4440. 314-324-4440. And when you connect with him, mention the Annie Frey Show and get on the path to making an incredibly smart financial decision that will affect you for potentially decades. I've used Stewie twice, and I encourage you to check him out for your own financial situation. Use the Bagel Loan to get your next mortgage. 314-324-4440. Google the Bagel Loan, NMLS number 226715.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. Wounded Warrior Project was created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war, whether those scars are physical or mental. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind, ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
Are you the parent of a 2 to 7-year-old? Listen closely for an exciting free radio offer. By now, you've probably heard of ABC Mouse, the Parents' Choice Award-winning online learning program that's actually changing the lives of early learners everywhere.
ABC Mouse is like a little one-on-one teacher. It has helped her so much.
Right now, we're offering a special radio promo to try it free for a month, but you have to go to abcmouse.com/radio to claim your free month. That's abcmouse.com/radio. Sponsored by Age of Learning.
Tony La Russa here. Men, are you running out of stamina rounding third base? If so, call my friends at Victory Men's Health in O'Fallon, Illinois. Scoring at home is important, just as important as crossing the plate with the winning run. VictoryMen'sHealth.com.
If you need a new bath or shower, call my friends at Bath Fitter of St. Louis. Mark Cox here. We love our new shower and tub enclosure. It looks fantastic. No demolition, no mess, and a lifetime guarantee. Right now, they're having a sale for 20% off up to $1,000 or zero interest until 2028. That's 5 years. Call 636-338-1648. That's 636-338-1648. Bath Fitter of St. Louis.
Hi, this is Andy Berg, board certified master arborist with Hanson's Tree Service. Leaving your ash trees unprotected from the emerald ash borer may lead to an unforeseen rapid decline in their health. Go to hansonstree.com to find out how we can service your trees today.
This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
It is indeed the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock filling in for Annie. She'll be back with us next Monday. I'll be here today and tomorrow. Wiggy takes over on Thursday, and Mike Elam is in on Friday, filling in for Annie Frey. Big shoes to fill, but we're doing the best that we can. It's time for our weekly visit with the Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage, Jim Carafano. Always enjoy our visits with Jim Carafano. We lost him.
Yeah, we don't have him yet.
Oh, okay.
We're still working on that.
I thought we had him. All right. Well, he's going to talk. I'm really interested to get his take on what's happening in Ukraine. You know, there's so much information out there and so much propaganda out there. Any war is going to be full of propaganda. And so certainly Russia has a propaganda machine actively, and they got to convince their own people that they're justified in this fight, which I think becomes increasingly more difficult as more and more body bags come back to that country, and Russia's moms and dads are losing their kids in the prosecution of this war in Ukraine. It's an unjust war. They went in and took territory into a sovereign country. The United States and the Western allies, the NATO allies, have funded to the tune of multiple hundreds of billions of dollars the war machine in Ukraine, supplying munitions and tanks and equipment, and more recently, the United States providing aircraft to the Ukrainian army, which, of course, Biden didn't give them for the longest time. They wanted it, and when we finally gave them the aircraft, it's now going to take 6 months to train the pilots to use them. So, and that doesn't look to me like there's an end in sight anytime soon in that country. And the question becomes, at what point does the United States national security interest wane in this kind of multi-billion-dollar support of Ukraine? Right now, the country is pretty united, supporting the aid, and it's bipartisan support largely. But there are increasing voices on the right that are questioning the wisdom of continuing to expend this money at the expense of our own stockpile of armaments in this country. So it's really interesting, and we are joined now by Jim Carafano, the Vice President for Foreign and Security Policy at Heritage. Jim, I always enjoy your insight. It is great. Talking a little bit about the situation in Ukraine. Lots of information coming out of both sides of that thing. Hard to really know what's really going on. So what's really going on in Ukraine?
Well, look, I mean, there are things that we know for a fact. I mean, or we can, I think, be very confident. One is Russia is never going to conquer Ukraine. Wherever the border ends up, there is going to be a free and independent and viable Ukraine that can defend itself, and probably will actually reconstitute and become economically one of the stronger, more influential countries in Western Europe. That's just going to happen. We have not seen any evidence that this war is going to escalate beyond the theater of Ukraine and Russia. We've seen a lot of what I call, I was in the Army for 25 years, so I know what military historians. I've only studied wars my entire life. What we're seeing here is not escalation. The war is kind of going sideways. We see the two sides try different things, but if you think of escalation as a ladder-like thing, we're not climbing up a ladder. We're just kind of moving sideways along the shelf. I think that's likely to be true. Beyond that, I think the wars, and I can also tell you that none of these peace deals or peace ideas the war is going to get decided on the ground, and then at some point the two sides will stop fighting. When that is, that's up to them. But I think that's pretty much what we can say for now.
Yeah, early on, in a year and a half, whenever this thing started, it was a lot of conventional wisdom was that Russia was going to be able to sweep right in, take over Kyiv, displace the government. Well, that didn't happen. Then throughout the course of the winter, there was so much discussion about the Ukrainian counteroffensive and how they were going to be able to go in there with this new equipment that they have and take back those places in the Donbass where Russia had entrenched, and that process could go fairly rapidly. Well, that didn't happen either. And as to your point, there's not a negotiation here to be had. Russia's not going to say, well, we're going to pull out. Ukraine's not going to say, sure, take what you got already. So is there enough firepower? And here's, I guess, my question is from the U.S. national security perspective, at what point do we say we're going to stop giving all of this aid?
Well, to be honest, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. What we have achieved in the last year and a half, what the Ukrainian military has achieved, is significantly degraded the conventional combat power of the Russians. Now, can they rebuild that? Yeah. How long is it going to take? We kind of all debate that. But the reality is, from a NATO perspective, particularly from the aspect of future U.S. military commitments, we're actually going to probably break ahead on this. First of all, our allies are going to do more in their own defense, and that's going to save costs for the U.S. And we're not going to, I think, ever have to really increase U.S. force structure in Europe. So we've got good money for our investment, quite honestly. The other, in the Indo-Pacific, what we really need is a bigger Navy, and if you want to talk about Marine forces as well, but that's only going to happen if we build a bigger Navy. I mean, 70% of the U.S. Navy is already in the Pacific, so there's no pivot to Asia to be had because all of our naval forces are really already there. If you want a bigger Navy, you're just going to have to build it. Now, can we improve the efficiency? Can we, have the Europeans do more? Yeah, I think all that's on the table. I think realistically that we're never going to go to zero aid for Ukraine. I just think that's not realistic. But are we going to get value for that? My guess is that, look, if the situation is like it is now or gets better for U.S., that's a pretty good deal for U.S.
Yeah, and obviously we're not committing troops over there, and
right.
There are no plans to do so.
Here's the biggest problem we have with U.S. aid. I mean, let's all agree that, of course, the aid should be accountable. That for every dollar we invest, we should know where it goes and what's happening. Let's all agree that that's just ought to be the unnegotiable bottom line. That we shouldn't do anything in foreign aid. That we just throw the money at something. So let's all agree with that. Here's the biggest problem I have with aid is it's always tied to something. And it's become the Biden excuse to get the Republicans to just treat the U.S. taxpayer like an ATM. That's unacceptable. And we've on many Ukraine packages, we said, I wouldn't vote for that because it's not about Ukraine aid. It's about throwing money at a bunch of other things. So, for example, right now they're talking about an aid package because FEMA has run out of money. Oh, well, the reason why FEMA's run out of money is because they blew it all on stupid COVID stuff that was more politics than that wasn't really helping anybody. It was just politics stuff. And because FEMA has dumped a boatload of money into helping move illegal immigrants into the U.S. So we bankrupted FEMA for all of Biden's pet political projects. And now they're going, oh, my God, we might not have enough money for hurricane season. So we're going to need more money. Oh, and we'll just say, oh, yeah. So and we'll we'll tie that to the Ukraine package, aid package. This is the kind of politics.
Yeah.
It's just, and honestly, a lot of Americans, because the reason why they're angry is not necessarily even because of the Ukraine aid. It's because, yes, the Europeans should do more. Absolutely, the money should be held accountable. But Biden has spent trillions of dollars, and we let him get away with that all in the name of, oh, yeah, we got to fund Ukraine. Oh, and by the way, throw in another trillion for everything else I want. That's just got to stop. That's just nonsense.
What's the status of the U.S. stockpile of munitions? I've heard some folks concerned about the amount of munitions we've given over there. Are we in any kind of jeopardy right now?
Well, it depends on what kind of munition you're talking about. So for example, recently the U.S. started sending DPICM. It's like, well, why weren't we doing that before? We have such a massive stockpile of DPICM because Obama would never let us shoot any of it, even to practice with. So we got tons of that, and we should have been giving that and conserving the conventional 1.5 ammunition, which we actually have a lot less of. And so that was kind of a self-inflicted stupidity room. There are other kinds of munitions like javelins and some of the short-range air defense stuff, but as a pacing item, it's not the kind of thing that really is super, super important for a war in the Pacific. So a lot of that's going to be aviation stuff, which, air stuff, which you're not giving them. But maybe the number one thing that I would be concerned about is Patriot missiles. But honestly, we have this ridiculously small output and stockpile of Patriot missiles, which made no sense, period, let alone Ukraine aside. So it's a bit of a mixed bag, but if there's an upside here, it's definitely a wake-up call for both the U.S. and Europeans that we are not producing munitions on the scale that allows our conventional forces to actually be a serious conventional deterrent. And we're not diversifying. I'll give you an example. Japan, right? If there was a war in Taiwan, the entire Japanese Air Force could go out and fly 3 times.
Wow.
And then they'd be completely out of missiles.
Wow. That's not going to get you very far. Jim Carafano is our guest. He's the Vice President of Foreign Security Policy at Heritage. A story that's kind of flown under the radar screen that I think might be a little more significant geopolitically than folks realize is this coup in Niger. So you've got Russia and China are both playing in the African theater. Niger had been a pretty important U.S. base of operations for a lot of things that we do. Now you've got this coup. The Biden administration won't call it a coup. It's a nation that's fairly rich in uranium ore.
Right.
What's going on here, and how does it affect us?
Yeah. So first of all, we should be concerned because we actually have a U.S. base there and U.S. people on the ground. So we have to worry about that because we don't need another Benghazi. Thank you very much. The uranium, it's about 5% of the total in the world. Even for France, which is the number one consumer, I think we can all work around that. So I don't think we're going to have a uranium shortage because of this. What's really disturbing is you have a whole line of these countries through Central Africa, which have had coups lately and are very unstable and have a lot of Russian and Chinese influence. Here's the thing I'd say. What does it actually – it's two things. First of all, it doesn't actually show, I think, the strength of Russia because these countries have incredibly poor governance, bad economies, are easy to exploit. I mean, it's really like a few Russians kicking in the rotten door. That's kind of my take on it. So it's not like Russia taking over Africa. It's just these guys being so pathetic. But what I think it really says is, look, Biden's been president for 2 years. What do we have to show for that in Africa for U.S. policy? And the answer is nothing. And what are the two top priorities of U.S. policy? Climate change and gender ideology, right? Is any of that relevant to what's going on in Africa? My answer is no. So I think we've wasted 2 years of policy in Africa, watched these things rot away. And then, and not that the United States can fix Africa, because we can't, but here's what I can tell you is in the last 2 years, our policies have done nothing to protect our interests in that country.
Well, in a country where we've got a base, I mean, you want to keep an eye on that and not let it spiral into a coup, and that's what has happened.
Well, most of the money is spent running around, killing Islamist extremists. Well, you know what? In the last 2 years under Joe Biden, the percentage of terrorist violence in Africa has risen dramatically. Matter of fact, over the last year, it's gone up 50%. And 80% of those attacks and casualties are in this region.
Wow. Well, Jim Carafano, your expertise is, as always, greatly appreciated. Thanks so much for your time this time. Until next time, we'll talk to you.
Thank you, my friend.
All right. That's Jim Carafano with Heritage. When we come back, politics and the media and how we consume the media and how politicians react to the media. I'm going to focus in on one of the perhaps lesser-known GOP candidates for president, Vivek Ramaswamy. That's next on the Annie Frey Show right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show on St. Louis's home for conservative talk. Follow Annie on Twitter @Annie Frey Show.
Picking a dentist is a difficult decision when you are trying to shift from maybe where you've been going to a new place. How do you possibly know who is going to be the right dentist for you? I want you to consider Foley Dental Group. If you want to learn more, you can go to FoleyDentalGroup.com or call them. They're accepting new patients right now at 618-288-9670. 618-288-9670. They are seeing new patients at their brand new location. I was just in there last week. It is beautiful. It is such a great way to get your dental care done. They have private rooms that they're going to work on you and get your dental care taken care of. But they have the technology that is out of this world. I cannot believe how much information they're able to take from you so quickly and painlessly to make sure that if there is a cavity forming, but maybe it doesn't need to be treated right now, they don't have to do the extra work. If you have something brewing or if you're going to need a root canal, they can show you exactly what they need to do and help you understand the health care that you're going to receive. 618-288-9670, online at FoleyDentalGroup.com. Censorship.com.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit porky, and you may even have type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Call Term Provider. Speak with Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Big Lou will find a term life policy for you even if you have type 2 diabetes, are overweight, or have high blood pressure. Term Provider has helped thousands of people like you who think they can't afford term life insurance. To buy $1 million of affordable term life for you, all you need to do is call Big Lou at 800-700-6898. Lou will make sure the scales are tipped in your favor. Call 800-700-6898. Big Lou will answer your call and work to fit you into a term life policy that you can afford. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds too. Call 800-700-6898. 800-700-6898 or biglou.com.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314-332-2885.
I stopped smoking with Mark Patrick's hypnosis when nothing else worked. 1 year later, my wife Michelle and I attended the Mark Patrick Weight Loss Hypnosis Seminar. In 2 months, lost 43 pounds, and she lost 18 pounds.
And we feel great.
Join Mark Patrick seminars and lose the weight or stop smoking guaranteed early bird specials at $49.99. Seminar Saturday, August 5th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. Or Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton St. Louis Fairview Heights in Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar 2 p.m.
You've been listening to the very popular Wellness 101 for many years, Saturdays and Sundays on 97.1 FM Talk. We're happy to share that we've expanded the show to 4 times a week. Yes, 4 times every weekend. Saturday at 10 a.m., Saturday at 8 p.m., Sunday at 9 a.m., and Sunday at 2 p.m. It's the same great show designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you a common sense, science-based strategy for a healthy life. So join TJ and Aaron for Wellness 101. Now 4 times a week on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Air Comfort Service is proud to support Greater St. Louis Honor Flight. Sign your veteran up for the Honor Flight today at gsl.honorflight.org. And for heating services, visit aircomfortservice.com.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
The Mark Reardon Show.
More fallout from the Devin Archer testimony on Capitol Hill and the latest as we track the trade deadline to see what the Cardinals are going to do Tuesday afternoon.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on 97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Interact with Annie on Facebook. The Annie Frey Show.
This is the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock sitting in for Annie Frey. We got a poll question out there online. Wiggs, what is it?
Is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no? Let us know and leave a comment as to why you think it's something big or don't.
Are people casting ballots out there?
Oh, yeah. That we always get a pretty good number of people weighing in. And then Hannah lets us know at the end of the show.
All right, I'm going to write down here my prediction for where the percentages on this are going to end up.
That'll be fun.
So,
well, the interesting thing about this question is that it can mean something big. Does that mean, what does that mean to you?
It's in the eye of the big beholder.
Yeah.
Which is why we want you, if you're listening, we want you to comment. Tell us why you said yes or no and what something big means to you.
Yeah, and just to recap, we had the interview in the first hour with Ryan Schmeltz with Fox Radio talking about Devin Archer's appearance before the House Oversight Committee yesterday. It came out that we know at least this, that there were at least 20 interactions between Hunter Biden, including his father, on phone calls that included clients of Hunter Biden, one of whom was the Burisma Natural Gas Company in Ukraine. And we also know from the Democrats that that Biden and his son never discussed business on these calls. They were all, how's the weather out there, Dad?
Well, that's what the Democrat in the room is telling. And that's what's amazing. We know this. We know the way these things are going to play out. But NBC News wrote an article this morning, or maybe it was yesterday, that was all about how, well, yes, he was on the calls. Yeah. Yes, he participated.
Nothing to see here.
But he didn't ever talk about business. Mm-hmm. He would just get on and
small talk.
Small talk with them just because he wanted to know what his son was involved. He wanted to say hello.
Hey, Hunt,
so 20 times he gets involved and he just goes, "How's the weather?
How's it going, Hunt?
Like really?
What are you having for dinner?
I know you're paying him a ton of money,
$1 million
crap ton of money,
$1 million
based on my name. But I just want to see how you're doing.
I just want to see how the weather is out there with you.
Yeah.
How's the lobster roll?
It's so irritating to me. Like the people are like, well, he didn't say, hey, you need to do this. I mean, like, what are you expecting from these phone calls that Joe Biden's going to get on there and be like, if you don't give my son $12 million, I'm going to shut your company.
Well, there is that one phone call that allegedly happened with the Chinese businessman where they said the dad's getting on the phone. Where's our money?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, and the other thing, and the reason I bring up the NBC News article angle to this whole thing is because they're just taking what somebody said and going, this is true.
Well, and here's the thing. Here's the thing.
And they've already shown that that's not true. What Biden has said, they've written articles before that said, well, he wasn't involved.
Never
he wasn't involved
in the business.
And now somebody else comes out and says, well, he may have been there, but he wasn't participating in the business. And therefore, anybody, if you're on the left and you want to find out, I hear there's talk about this. I don't know exactly what's going on. I'm going to look it up. NBC News comes up first in the search results often.
Imagine that.
All I do, read the headline, oh, he's not really involved. I go back to my world. And that's the whole purpose of it. They don't have any integrity. They have no curiosity to look into anything. They just run cover for their political allies.
The problem is there is something objectively suspicious about whatever it is that's going on with Hunter Biden, Devin Archer, and Joe Biden is in proximity to it. It's just suspicious. I mean,
look, can we all agree? Can we all agree that Hunter Biden is a less than desirable individual?
Absolutely.
He's not somebody I would hire for my energy company.
Right.
But my point is like a media worth its salt would then look into this and say, what is going on here? But the media, it appears, is not interested in that because you look at the pieces from CNN, from NBC, MSNBC. What they're really interested in is like pushing this idea that this is really nothing. They would rather go down with the ship than to admit we were running cover for them the whole time.
So last week, this seems unrelated, but it's not. So last week, you may remember, the Cardinals were playing against the Cubs. And Miles Michaelis was on the mound. And Ian Happ was at the plate. And his backswing knocked Wilson Contreras out of the game. Contreras gets hit on the head. He goes down. They take him off. The next pitch was buzzed up and in from Miles Michaelis to Ian Happ, who, by the way, has been a pain in the Cardinals side his entire career. The second pitch hit him in the butt. And it hit him in the butt, and the umpires convened, and they decided that he hit him in the butt on purpose, and they kicked Miles Michaelis out of the game with 2 out in the first inning of the game. The Cardinals announcers couldn't believe it. They said, this is unbelievable. Everybody in the stadium knew that was going to happen. Happ didn't have a problem with it. He went down to first base. He understood what was going on. The benches didn't empty. No warning was ever given. The Cardinals announcers were absolutely nonplussed about it, just completely exercised. So I thought to myself, I wonder how the Cubs announcers handled this situation.
Oh.
So I'm listening to the Cubs announcers, and Jim DeShays, who was a former big league pitcher for the Astros and I guess the Cubs, was in the booth. He was their color analyst. And so the pitch hits him, and DeShays says, oh, that's weak. That's weak. He's probably going to get tossed. He should get tossed for doing that. Oh, the umpires are convening. Yep, he's gone. That was weak sauce, brother. Very weak. And it just... the two announcers in their perception of the home team there were looking at the same set of events and having the 180-degree different version of what they just saw. And it hit me listening to that that's where we are in politics today. We look at Hunter Biden. I look at Hunter Biden, and I think, I can't say definitively that there's corruption there, but it doesn't look right, and it needs more investigation. On the left, they look at that and they say, well, I mean, Joe wasn't talking about business with his kid, which, by the way, on its face is ridiculous to think a father's not talking to his son about his business. That's like, because you've got young kids, right? You guys, you sitting around at the dinner table. What's the conversation during a school year?
Typically, it's how did school go?
Yeah.
And then are you trading commodities on my name?
Yeah, right. But I mean, of course, you're going to talk to your kids about their careers and their businesses because you love them and you care about them. And the idea that somehow Joe Biden never discusses business with Hunter Biden either means, one, he's lying, or two, their relationship is so frayed that they don't even talk about stuff. Well, that's clearly not the case. He picks up the phone every time the kid calls him in front of a Burisma executive eating chop suey in a restaurant.
And every talking point is Joe Biden loves his son.
Yeah.
They're close.
Yeah. Doesn't love his granddaughter, but that's another story for another day.
He just acknowledged her for the first time yesterday.
4 years old. So anyway, well, we kind of digress, but I wanted to get into this segment. And the poll again is this a big deal with Hunter Biden?
Yeah.
Yes or no? That's
is
out
this
there.
Devin Archer
it's on
testimony something big?
all of the social medias we got out there. Isn't
It's on all of them.
It's on the Twitter. I guess we're not calling it Twitter anymore.
They're calling it X, Twixter.
It's we got the Instagram,
Facebook.
We got the Facebook.
Are we on Rumble today?
Have we got
we're
the
on Rumble today.
We've got the Rumble today. Is it on the YouTube?
It is.
Yeah, it's always
on the YouTube as well.
Yep.
So there's many ways to vote in this.
The only way you can vote is by going to the YouTube page.
Well, you got to vote on the YouTube
You can
page.
live stream the show from any of those platforms.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
But the poll itself is only on YouTube.
There it is. So there's the poll. All right, I wanted to get into this because I do opposition research for a living. And Vivek Ramaswamy, who is running for president, 37 years old, from Cincinnati, Ohio, businessman, a very successful businessman. He's been, I think, one of the more interesting candidates this cycle, and he says a lot of interesting things. He had a little encounter with a reporter the other day, and this is what he had to say about it.
I took a call on Sunday from a reporter from one of the three major newspapers. If they run this story, I'll tell you exactly who it is, but it's actually very pathetic that this is a reporter who has systematically, intentionally gone out of his way, I think at behest of his masters in the donor class and in the establishment of the GOP, to ignore our campaign. There hasn't been a single mention of our campaign in stories he's written, even as candidates polling at 6th and 7th regularly get mentioned as the mainstream contenders, and that's okay. But the funny part is it caught our team's attention that this guy suddenly wanted to talk all of a sudden on a Sunday. And so we had a conversation with him. Turns out he was writing a story where he was literally reading from a checklist. It was clear he was even mispronouncing or messing up the sentences. He's reading from a checklist that he was given of quotes from the 3 books that I'd written over the last 2 years. And it was clear he was going to publish them because somebody had fed him that information. But there was a little weird thing about it. He was either misquoting me or badly misunderstanding exactly what I said.
So there you have that. And then he goes on to say, do you have a second clip there? Because he goes on to talk about.
I asked him a simple question.
Yeah, here we go.
You're writing a story about quotes from my 3 books that you're saying now undercut my presidential campaign. Have you read the books? Woke Inc., Nation of Victims, Capitalist Punishment? No. Have you opened the books? No. Do you have the books? No. So think about this. A guy from one of the 3 major newspapers in the country, and it's not one of the liberal ones, okay? This is what's staggering, is actually the corrupt nature of the GOP establishment, the money relationships, the repeat relationships of trading information behind back doors. They've been doing this for years, and the payouts they make. This guy's about to write a story based on quotes from my books, fed to him by a political campaign or its super PAC, and yet hasn't even read the very books. I challenged him to do it, and then he started apologizing about how he has too many campaigns to follow and hasn't had the time to do it.
So there you have it. So the long and short of this thing is, one of Ramaswamy's opponents has done an opposition research file on him. They have read the books, and they've gone into the books, and they pulled quotes out of the books that they think are damaging. And they package that all up and they shoot it to a reporter. It's probably a reporter that operative has a relationship with and says, hey, you ought to ask him about this. here are these quotes that undercut his credibility on XYZ issue. I think I know what it is, but regardless. And the reporter, instead of going and doing original research themselves and verifying what's in the document they received, instead of reading the books in context and making sure that the representations in the document they received are accurate, they go straight to the campaign and say, react to this. This is in your book. What do you say about that? And that happens a lot. And one of the things that is a dirty little secret in politics is that reporters, by and large, not all of them, but by and large, are pretty lazy. And so if you can spoon feed them a story, here it is, and they can make a couple of phone calls and boom, they've got a story. That's what they're going to do. And that's what's happened here. And Ramaswamy's calling them out on it.
I love that he does this kind of stuff. And I'm glad that we have highlighted it, because no matter whether it's coming from Democrats or Republicans, if there's corruption, call it out. And he does it. He has no qualms about it. I remember back, I think this was maybe early May, at the CPAC convention, when he called out CPAC, which is Republican.
Right.
That is a Republican convention. He says he received an offer from CPAC to buy his way into the CPAC straw poll. That kind of crap should not fly.
Right.
And when you have somebody receiving those offers who's willing to turn and say, you're corrupt, I'm going to tell everybody. I like that guy. And that's what he's kind of doing here. Not quite as big, but it's still good stuff.
Yeah, you want that from your politicians. That's what you want. The problem is that when you start turning on people, then they start pushing you down and they start crushing you. So you got to be very careful with how you do that. But I definitely want a candidate in there that is not establishment, and these are non-establishment things that he's doing. That's what I like about him.
This is one of the reasons. I'm sorry here. I'm taking it back to Trump again. But it's one of the reasons that people like him. He's independently wealthy. Now, he has gotten a lot of donations since he's been president, so he's a politician now. But originally, and still to some extent, he's a businessman. He can fund things. He doesn't necessarily need to bend the knee to the donor class.
And Ramaswamy's in that same camp.
Agreed. And I love that about him. I love that about Trump.
Yeah, and that's true. Although there is value in being able to raise support. And I mean, you look at Trump's fundraising numbers, they're pretty impressive.
Right.
And that tells you that there's more to a campaign when you're seeing that ground. It doesn't have to be the multimillionaires giving $6 million checks to your PAC. Although that helps. but if a campaign can demonstrate real grassroots support, the $10 donations, the online donations, that has some real political muscle to it, and it matters.
It's one of the reasons that I think that Trump will not leave Truth Social until maybe right before the election, because him being there is really the only reason that's worth anything. He owns roughly half of that company,
right,
which is what, $2 billion?
Yeah.
Something like that. So just owning Truth Social and being the major stockholder of it, he's not going to throw that in the trash for no reason. Now, I do think that if we're in September of 2024,
or August,
at that point, he's made what he's going to make out of Truth Social. He may jump and just say, okay, I'm going back in and make waves like he does. He's really good at doing that. But it's these independently funded candidates. And Ramaswamy is rich. He's not Trump rich,
right?
But he's made a lot of money to where he can afford to do things like that. It's a weird thing to be like, I support the billionaires. But in a sense, they're free from as much influence as some of the others who are not.
That is Ryan Wiggins, and he's here. Brad Range is alongside. Annie Frey's in Florida. She'll be back with us on Monday. Hannah's around. She's going to be back in with our poll results next hour. When we come back, Wardrobe Wiggins is going to join us.
Wardrobe malfunctions.
And we're going to talk about that on the Annie Frey Show right here on 97.1.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
Ruler Foods is giving back to local communities, and I'm hoping that you'll help me help them be successful in this. They are hydrating their heroes, your local heroes, your first responders, firefighters, and policemen who are out working in this crazy, insane heat. Yes, we're used to it in St. Louis, but a lot of us spend that time inside. We make sure that we stay inside in the air conditioning while it is blistering heat outside. You don't get to do that if you're somebody who has to answer the call of duty. And we know that our police officers, our firefighters, our first responders are out there working hard in this heat. So here's how you can help. Ruler Foods has put a bunch of different hydration products on sale, which means when you go to rulerfoods.com, you're going to be able to access these sales. When you go into the Ruler Foods closest to you, you're going to be able to pick up maybe a Kroger 24-pack of water for $2.99. Do your grocery shopping and leave that water behind, and Ruler Foods is going to get it to your local heroes. Hydrate your heroes with Ruler Foods. Go online to rulerfoods.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
Your company's privacy and security could be on the line every time you send an email. Mark Cox here for River City Internet Group and myemailservice.com. They're a locally owned and operated email provider. They have their own building, servers, and data center to ensure your security. If you have 100 employees, they might save you close to $10,000 a year over Google G Suite Basic, and they'll work with your IT company to migrate everything. Go online today to myemailservice.com.
Shopping for a home on the Illinois side of the river is made easy when you partner with Jen Teskey of RE/MAX Alliance. You can learn more about her online at jenteskeyhomes.com, T-E-S-K-E, jenteskeyhomes.com. The Jen Teskey team is the best in the business, and if you're looking to sell your home, let me encourage you to make the phone call, 618-541-1010. That's 618-541-1010. Make the phone call to the Jen Teskey team and just ask any questions that you have. Maybe you're not even ready to sell it right now, but you're thinking, well, in the future, we want to do it within the next 12 months. Talk to Jen Teskey because she's going to help guide you. Her team, which is an amazing team of people, is going to help guide you in maybe what you do fix up, what you don't spend money on. They'll guide you through this process and help you time the market as best as they possibly can so you get that top dollar quick sell. 618-541-1010. Call or text Jen Teskey at 618-541-1010. Online at jenteskeyhomes.com.
Refresh, restore, and protect your employees and customers. Call ZeroRes to clean your business the right way so your floors and surfaces stay cleaner longer without the harmful chemicals the other guys use. Call 314-474-2020 or book online at ZeroResSTL.com. You spell it backward or forward, it spells the same. ZeroRes.
Are you following the Devin Archer testimony? Because we want to know whether you think it's something big. And if you don't know much about it, rewind to the beginning of the show. We talked to Ryan Schmeltz, Fox News Radio and White House and Capitol Hill correspondent. We've been talking about it throughout the show. We want to know what you think. That's the YouTube live chat poll of the day. Is Devin Archer and the testimony therein something big? Yes or no? This time right now is 1:47. Time check is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
JerryKelly.com. Filtering the BS pushed by the mainstream media.
St. Louis is home for conservative talk.
97.1 FM Talk. This is the Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Twitter at Annie Frey Show.
1:48 at the Annie Frey Show. John Hancock sitting in for Annie Frey. Wiggy alongside. Brad Raines also in the house as we dive into this. So summer is not my, shall we say, favorite wardrobe time of the year.
Me either.
We had Andrew Bailey on yesterday. I guess they what do they call those things that they're giving the kids to push down their chest? What do they call those things?
Oh, chest binders.
Yeah, chest binders.
I thought you were talking about a life vest for a second. Then I realized you're talking about boobs.
Yeah, the chest binder, which, by the way, at my stage of life right now, I could probably use one of those things. But I'm not trying to change gender or anything. I'm just trying to, So, but I don't like the summer particularly much, and I don't have that many short sleeve shirts. So, and it's hot out. And when I wear shorts, the light that emanates from my legs is blinding almost. So
it's like Moses coming down from the mountain.
It's not good.
Right.
So I tend to not. So I don't like dressing in the summer much. But Wiggy, you've taken it to the next level today. What have you done?
This was an accident, and I mean that. I think sometimes people think that when I do these things, I'm setting up show material.
No.
I'm not, because I realized that I was talking to Brad this morning about what the Wiggins America topic was going to be. I think you were maybe not in the room yet. And I said, Brad, I'm standing funny. And I realized that all day I've been walking kind of funny.
Yeah.
And I looked down.
And there it was.
And I'm wearing two different shoes. And I don't know that I've ever done that in my life.
Well, that's a new player.
But they look really similar.
They do. I mean, if you'd have to study your kicks for a while to be able to put together the fact that they're not matching shoes.
One of them has a much thicker sole than the other does.
Hence the walking.
So
funny.
I'm standing a little crooked, and you'd think, stupid idiot, when you put it on, wouldn't you notice that? Well, no, because the one that I put on, one of them was untied. So I thought, it's just. It feels funny because I haven't tied it, and normally I leave my shoes tied and I just slip them on and I walk out the door.
So they're very similar, these shoes. So my question to you is, why would you, in the matter of first instance, buy two shoes that look so similar yet are different?
This is a part of the story that we haven't discussed yet. I was kind of hoping it wouldn't go there, but clearly it has.
It has.
I inherited several pairs of shoes from a deceased individual.
Huh.
Wow. If I were to put it kindly, it would be that these were estate shoes.
I'll be darned.
And I happen to be the only person with the same size shoe.
You could literally walk a mile in another man's shoes.
And so these are someone who died's shoes.
Okay.
But they're new. He had never worn them.
Guy.
He had a closet. I guess he really liked shoes. He had a closet full of shoes.
Imelda Marcos. So you wonder what...
And so what was going to be done with them? Well, I was the only one in the vicinity who had the same size foot.
There it is.
And so I've got these shoes. Well, so I've had them for now a little over a year.
Yeah.
And it's just a basket full of about 8 pairs of shoes.
So you got a basket full of shoes. So you're going into the basket. You pull, there's a white shoe, and there's a white shoe.
Anytime my shoes start to get kind of dirty or old, or I've mowed the grass in them too many times, after 6 months to a little bit longer, I throw out that pair of shoes.
They're gone.
So I have one that's kind of like my white shoes that are more like sneakers, and then one that are a little bit nicer that I can wear with nicer stuff.
Huh.
So I've just been kind of cycling through them. Well, I thought I only found one of the shoes today, so I thought, somebody must have thrown the other one in the basket. So I went and got the other one out of the basket, which was untied. Therefore, I didn't realize.
And there it is.
Look, if you want to see them,
Ryan, I have a question.
Here's my defense.
I do have a question for you. Which foot has the thinner sole?
Left.
So you lean left.
Well,
yes.
Yeah,
unless you're looking at me.
There's the shoes,
look,
folks.
I'm holding them up to the camera. And look how similar those look.
You could see how a gentleman would mistake those shoes for a match. One does go on the left foot and one goes on the right foot. Well, here's what I did. One morning. I was coming into KMOX one morning early, and my dear wife, who I love very much, but she likes to sleep in the mornings when she can. And I have learned over the course of 32 years of marriage that it does not go well if I wake her up in the morning. So I'm very quiet, very careful getting dressed. And I go into the closet there, and I don't turn the light on because I don't want to wake her up.
Yeah.
And I know I've got my line of slacks, and I'm pretty organized in the closet. And I go, and I'm reaching around there for my khakis. There's a pair of khakis. I pull it out, whoosh, put them on, one leg in, the other leg in, zip them up, throw the belt on.
One leg at a time. I would have figured you were a jump into the pants.
I can't jump into the pants
but
anymore.
I guess not.
I even miss sometimes in my age, but that's another story for another day. So I put the pants on, put the belt on, come down, have my coffee, and get in the car, and I drive down here to whatever this place is. And I come in, and I'm walking through the office. Everything's just fine. I got my khakis on. Amy Markscore says to me, "What's wrong with your pants?" And I said, "Well, there's nothing wrong with mine." She said, "Look at them." So I looked down, and apparently I had put on my son's pants. And while my son and I have the same waist size, approximately, he is 6 inches shorter than I am. And apparently he had left his khakis when he came home for a visit from Chicago, and I put them on, and I walked around all day there's high waters, and then there's like flood of 93 waters, and that's what I was wearing that day. It was bad.
First of all, does your son normally leave his khakis in you and your wife's closet?
Well, so here's my little dirty little whatever. So I got the orange bag from the dry cleaners, and so you just stuff the stuff in the orange bag. And so I must have picked up a pair of his pants that were on the floor of his room for whatever reason, and because that's where pants end up in there, and put it in the orange bag, taking it to the cleaners, and get it back out, and hung it in my closet. So that's how the offending pants have gotten there.
Okay.
I still have the offending pants, but they are now no longer in my closet. So I will never make that particular mistake ever again.
I'm a little surprised that anybody pointed out that you had done that, because you wear capris a lot anyway.
I do.
So when I see you walking around the office, I don't think anything of it, because you've usually got them rolled up.
Yeah.
It's cute. I don't blame you.
No, that's just fake news, ladies and gentlemen. But
Hannah's always like, I love John's style.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Younger women just love what you do.
There's a phrase that has never been uttered before in the history of mankind. I don't have style, but I do have substance, I like to think. But yeah, so next hour, I'm really excited. So this young singer, I think she's 18 now, maybe. She lives in Phoenix, Arizona. Her mother was in our wedding. She was a bridesmaid for my wife. A friend of my wife's went to high school together. And her dad, who is also a musician, has become a friend of mine. And Izzy has really is in the process of building a real music career, good music. She's kind of got a folky vibe to it. She's going to join us next hour. We're going to play some of her stuff, and that should be real fun. And the poll results, Wiggy, will be shared at the end of the hour. And the question is,
do you like what John is wearing today? Let us know on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll.
Let me tell you now, this shirt, I've got my sleeves rolled up because it's a long sleeve shirt.
It's a capri shirt.
It's not a, what is that? What is capri? I don't even know what that is.
It's just shorter.
Oh.
That's all it is.
Oh, all right. Well,
is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes,
it's a big deal. I think it's a big deal. And I've written down my prognostication for where the numbers are going to end up. We'll see how close I am to understanding the soul of the Annie Frey audience. And the soul of the Annie Frey audience will stick around after the news. We'll see you next hour on 97.1 FM Talk.
It's such an honor to be partnered with Centric Security and Automation. This is a nationally known company that's right here in our own backyard. I want you to go to centricstl.com, Centric with a C, centricstl.com, and learn how they can provide you a free risk assessment or quote to upgrade your aging security system. A lot of people who they work with already have a system in place, but you know that the system that you are running right now is inadequate. Maybe it doesn't even work, or there's something you can do to make it work and it just hasn't performed for you the way you need it to. Centric Security and Automation can come into your place and give you that free estimate to help make sure that your system is secure. They provide secure cloud access control, AI-powered video surveillance systems, and they are a service-centric organization focused on providing amazing service. All of their technicians are required to complete monthly training, which allows them to stay informed of the latest technologies and provide the best service possible. Find them online right now by visiting centricstl.com.
Mark Cox here. Different real estate agents will sell your home for different amounts of money. Don't be fooled into thinking all realtors are created equal, because they're not. Different realtors will get you different results. So the agent you choose to sell your home matters. The experience your agent has, the marketing, the database of buyers, the systems, and the capabilities of your realtor, they all matter. Why? Because how much you sell your home for matters to you. That's why I recommend you call Gloria Liu with your home sold guaranteed realty. According to MLS statistics, Gloria sells her listings for more money than the average agent, and she does it with less hassle. With 20-plus years of experience, our local real estate expert, Gloria Liu, knows how to get you the most money for your home, guaranteed. Gloria offers her sellers multiple selling options, so call her at 314-325-6888. That's 314-325-6888, or visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
Conditions apply. Gloria and seller must agree on price and possession date.
Men, are you suffering from erectile dysfunction or PE? The medical providers at Paramount Men's Medical Center offer breakthrough treatments that eliminate problems in the bedroom without pain or surgery. 98% of men see instant results on their first office visit. Listen to a specialist in men's health.
I'm Dr. Simovitz. Paramount Men's Medical Center offers breakthrough medical treatments that eliminate ED and PE. Men are even lasting 90 minutes or longer, regardless of age or medical history.
But that's not all. For a limited time only, call Paramount Men's Medical Center now, and your initial consultation and first treatment are completely free. You'll see instant results right in the office. You'll even get a gift that enhances your performance in the bedroom. All this, worth hundreds of dollars, is free if you call now. 314-720-8081. 314-720-8081. That's 314-720-8081.
KFTK FM Florissant. From the Under Law Injury Lawyers, GetJim.com studio. 97.1 FM Talk. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
A mass amount of evidence. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. That's what prosecutors are preparing to provide to the defense for accused New York serial killer Rex Heuermann, who just finished a brief court appearance on Long Island.
And in that hearing, the district attorney's office said they will be turning over, quote, hundreds of hours of video over to the defense, specifically also videos pertaining to the victim, Megan Waterman. They also say they have lots of photos.
Fox's Brian Yennis at the courthouse in Riverhead, where the prosecutor says they have 8 gigabytes of material. Heuermann had already pleaded not guilty in 3 murders. He is the prime suspect in a 4th. A hearing continues in Michigan for the sentencing of a high school shooter.
Ethan Crumbley's lawyers showed video in Oakland County Court of the teen, then 15 years old, being restrained in jail shortly after he killed 4 classmates and injured 7 others at Oxford High School in 2021.
Please stop it, God. Please stop it.
A defense psychologist testifying that Crumbley was experiencing psychosis from childhood trauma and neglectful and abusive parents, who are separately charged with manslaughter in the case for buying their son the gun used and for failing to intervene.
Fox's Jeff Manasso. The so-called Miller hearing is mandated before the sentencing of a teenager. Crumbley has already pleaded guilty and faces life in prison. New Jersey's Lieutenant Governor Sheila Oliver has died. She was 71 and had been hospitalized for an undisclosed medical condition while filling in for the governor, who's on a family vacation.
Governor Phil Murphy acknowledged Oliver as his partner in government since 2017. Beyond her role as the number 2 public figure in the state, he praised her as a genuine and kind person, whom he described as irreplaceable.
Fox's Gernal Scott. America is listening to Fox News.
This could be the start of a break-in.
Stop. This is Simply Safe.
Or the end of one. Introducing 24/7 Lifeguard Protection, only from Simply Safe. Now, monitoring agents can see and speak to intruders through our new indoor camera to help stop crime in real time and for fast police response. Get 20% off any new system with Fast Protect monitoring at simplysafe.com/radio. Advanced home security, 24/7 professional monitoring for less than $1 a day. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Hi, I'm Martha Stewart. Every year, more than 4 million pets enter shelters here in the United States. My friends at American Humane have been helping animals since 1877. The goal is to ensure that pets have a safe shelter, especially during natural disasters. Adopting a shelter pet allows shelters to help more animals awaiting care. Please consider adopting today and take some time to learn more about American Humane's other work at americanhumane.org.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Let's get a short break from the unsettled weather. Partly sunny skies this afternoon.
great temperatures, 82 degrees. Tonight, here it comes again. Periods of showers and thunderstorms, some downpours at times, 68. Keep that going Wednesday. Periods of showers and thunderstorms, windy, downpours at times, 84 for the high, 90 on Thursday, 92 on Friday. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I want to talk to you about Window World, the preferred window of the St. Louis Blues. Window World windows are one of the 2 windows with the Good Housekeeping seal of approval. They've ranked #1 in windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. If you have a window purchase in your future, or even, I'm going to be honest, a window inquiry in your future, call 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. They provide a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Plus, Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength not commonly used in replacement windows. And Window World is now offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. Call my friends at Window World and get the process started today. 314-993-1800. That's 314-993-1800. Don't miss out on this opportunity for your replacement window purchase. WindowWorld.com.
For adults with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis who are candidates for systemic or phototherapy, now there's Skyrizi, Risankizumab Riza, a prescription-only 150 milligram injection. With Skyrizi, 3 out of 4 people achieve 90% clear skin at 4 months, and Skyrizi is just 4 doses a year after 2 starter doses.
Nothing and me go hand in hand. Nothing on my skin, that's my new plan. Nothing is every day.
Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions and an increased risk of infections or a lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, your doctor should check for infection and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, such as fever, sweats, chills, muscle aches, or cough, or if you plan to or recently received a vaccine.
With Skyrizi, you could achieve 90% clearer skin. Ask your doctor about the #1 dermatologist-prescribed biologic in psoriasis and visit Skyrizi.com or call 1-866-SKYRIZI to learn more.
If you want to lose weight, I've got a great idea for you. Mark Cox here for my friends at Victory Men's Health. They're now offering FDA-approved semaglutide. They have tremendous results with this medication. The average patient loses 15% of their body weight. Men and women can get semaglutide from Victory Men's Health at any of their 3 locations. Be sure and book your appointment today online at victorymenshealth.com.
The New York Times calls BritBox the best of British telly. Stream brilliant series you can only find on BritBox. Unlock acclaimed favourites like Vera and Stonehouse, plus the upcoming original drama Archie, the story of Cary Grant. Start a free trial at BritBox.com.
If you're trying to sell your home, there's only one group of agents in town I trust. Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system, options, and strategies to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. Check out thegelmanteam.com.
Fact-checking the mainstream media daily.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
You found it here. 97.1 FM Talk. This hour of the Annie Frey Show is brought to you by Ruler Foods. Low prices, no coupons. Ruler Foods.
That is exactly what I needed to hear.
Thank God someone here knows what they're talking about.
That's us. That's right. Gotta love this American ride.
All right, you need to take the time and get the full picture.
Come on, turn the radio on. It's Saturday and I won't be long.
Don't get me wrong. I love the ladies. I mean, they rev my engine, but they don't belong in the newsroom. It is Anchor Man, not Anchor Lady.
What do you want from me? I'm not America's sweetheart.
Goodness sake, kid. Keep your voice down. Your father's listening to the radio.
I'm not America's sweetheart.
This is the Annie Frey Show.
Okay, so I love baseball. I admit it. I'm John Hancock in for Annie Frey. It's the Annie Frey Show on 97.1 FM Talk. And today is an important day in baseball. It's the trade deadline. I love the trade deadline. And the Cardinals, at the trade deadline, over the course of our illustrious history, and it is an illustrious history with the St. Louis Birds on the bat, we have acquired at the trade deadline the Hall of Famer Lou Brock. from the Chicago Cubs in exchange for early Broglio. That ended up catapulting us to 3 World Series in the next 3 of the next 4 years. We also, back in 2000, picked up Will Clark, who came and just was phenomenal at the end of that season, taking the Cardinals into the playoffs. That was a big acquisition. And, of course, who can forget the 1996 acquisition that the Cardinals made, trading Eric Ludwig and T.J. Matthews to the Oakland A's for, anyone?
McGuire.
Yes, Mark McGuire, who came to the Cardinals and then set the all-time single-season home run record in 1998.
That was 96 that we got him?
I hate to say it.
Was it really? Wow, okay.
Yeah, it was 1996, a long time ago. That record, of course, eclipsed by the steroid-taking Barry Bonds, but I guess they were all taking steroids back then.
I loved it. I want just all steroids all the time.
So do you guys remember, because you were in 98 during the home run chase, you were probably, how old? You were not that old, right?
Well, I was in high school.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Do you remember it?
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I worked at, you're talking about the home run chase?
Yes.
Oh, man. I mean, it was all anybody was talking about. I worked at a golf course at the time.
Yeah.
So one of the best things that I got to do was every time McGuire hit a home run during the chase, because I think at about 30-something, everybody goes, all right, this is on. I mean, it was pretty early.
Well, and he and Sosa were like back and forth the whole season.
And so it was pretty early in the season that the counter started, like way earlier than you would have figured.
Yeah.
And so somewhere in there, probably in June, people started actually counting these things, and then it became a bigger and bigger thing. So every time a foursome or any group came off of the golf course and McGuire hit a home run, I got to be the first to tell everybody, because you didn't have phones like you did back then.
Yeah.
And I just worked it for tips. I worked it hard for tips.
Nice.
Like, hey, I got some great news for you. I'm going to wash your clubs, but McGuire hit number 45 today. And oh, wow, everybody's in a great mood.
Yeah.
Everybody's getting beers. And I got to tell you.
So he hit 70 at the and they actually hit 71. The last game of the season against the Montreal Expos, he went deep for number 70. He hit another ball, and this was before instant replay, and it was out. But the umpire said it hit the top of the fence. He actually hit 71 home runs that year.
Really?
Yes.
Can't believe I don't remember that.
But the big home run, of course, was 62, because that's what broke Roger Maris's record. That game took place on the 8th of September.
Yep, 9/8/98.
1998. I was at that game. And at the time, I was the executive director of the Missouri Republican Party. Woo. And but
I can't believe the cameras weren't on you at that.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. But I was in one of those suites at the game, and at the time, U.S. Senator John Ashcroft was up there. A couple of members of Congress, Governor Jim Edgar from Illinois was in the box, and we were all there together. And I remember watching that game play out, and I kept score of the game, and I got a baseball, and I had everybody in the box sign my scorecard and the baseball.
Cool.
It was very cool. And, of course, McGuire, maybe the shortest home run he hit that entire season for number 62.
Yeah,
Just
barely over the wall.
cleared the left field fence. And I got home that night. My son was 4, and my daughter, I guess, was 1. So I got home that night, and I took the scorecard and the baseball, and I wrote a note to my son about how much baseball, how it knits the generations together. And I look so forward someday, son, to playing catch with you and your little league career, and, taking you to Busch Stadium and enjoying the games and so forth. And it's really kind of cool. And I put it away. Well, Johnny's 29 now. He loves baseball, and he does this thing. Have you guys seen this immaculate grid that comes out every morning?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a thing where they give you like 3 teams, 3 or 5 teams, and then a stat. And so you got to say today it was like the Toronto Blue Jays and the Houston Astros. And you got to think of a player that played for both of those teams. And you put it in the grid. And then at the end, it was like stole 30 or more bases a season. So whoever the Blue Jay was, for me, it was Roberto Alomar. I got it right. And you fill out this 9, you get 9 guesses, and you see how many of them you get right. So we've been doing that every morning now for a while. Do you do those, Rains?
I don't. It's kind of like Wordle, but with baseball. And,
yes.
And I find Wordle frustrating, so I don't do Wordle either.
Well, I love this thing because I love stats. And anyway, today's the trade deadline. And for the first time in 2 decades, the Cardinals are out of contention for the playoffs. And so they're going to be selling assets at the deadline. We haven't done this. John Mozeliak's been the GM since, 2010 or 11? He's never had a situation where he was selling assets to bring in prospects and players for next year. And so it's interesting on that level. And the Cardinals already today have traded Paul DeJong, the shortstop. He's been in the organization for 9 years. He goes to the Toronto Blue Jays in exchange for 24-year-old right-hander Matt Swanson.
That's how the Germans say Swanson.
Yeah, Swanson. And he's had a pretty good season in single-A and double-A ball for them. He's 24. He's a right-hander. He's got a strikeout per 9 inning rate of 11-something. That means he strikes out over a batter an inning. He's a relief pitcher. Must have some pretty good stuff. He's got a 1.11 ERA. He's 4-1 on the season. He's going to go to Springfield. He's not going to be an option probably for the Cardinals next year, but he's an asset potentially that might bring some value. And you hate to see Paul DeJong go, but what's your fondest memory of the Paul DeJong era, Rain?
Him hitting home runs against Chicago are my favorite. Which was it 2 years ago? Whenever they made that big comeback against the Cubs up in Wrigley, and DeJong had a big homer that I don't remember. Yachty hit one home run, and it put him in the lead.
And then DeJong, next batter.
Yeah. That was probably my favorite deal.
He had a lot of pop. He hit 30 home runs one year for the Cardinals. In fact, back in 2018, it looked like the Cardinals had stumbled onto something really special. You don't see many shortstops that pop 30 home runs out of the ballpark, and he's not done it since. And then the batting average the last 3 years has declined. He hit under 200 last year, full season with the Cardinals. Some better this year. His average has been higher. His clutch hitting has been pretty good, runners in scoring position. He's a very solid defensive shortstop, and the Toronto Blue Jays have lost their shortstop now for the rest of the season, Bo Bichette. So they were kind of desperate, and let's hope they overpaid for Paul DeJong. But we're sitting around here, and we're waiting to see what other moves the Cardinals make. What are you thinking, Range?
I am looking now like I think either a Dylan Carlson or a Tyler O'Neill will be the next trade piece. One of those two needs a change of scenery, but they both can't exist on this team at the same time. I personally would like to see the Cardinals hang on to Dylan Carlson and give Tyler O'Neill a chance someplace else. But I don't know whichever one brings more value is probably the one that will get traded.
Well, I think Carlson is generally believed to have the bigger potential upside just because O'Neill's been so injury prone over the course of his career, and I don't know that the value for O'Neill is going to be that great. The big name that everybody's waiting on is Jack Flaherty, who's a right-handed pitcher and a good one, not a great one, but a good one, and a lot of teams that are in contention need starting pitching. And the question will be what the Cardinals might be able to fetch for Flaherty, but that is being held up right now because the Mets have Justin Verlander potentially on the market, and that would be a marquee name for a starting pitcher. So we'll see how that goes. But the other names out there for the Cardinals, Giovanni Gallegos, a pretty good bullpen arm, and Ryan Helsley, who's been injured, but a flamethrower. And, of course, we've already lost Jordan Hicks, who was a flamethrower. He's also with the Blue Jays. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But the Cardinals have a long way to go to rebuild their pitching staff. We've got 2 starting pitchers coming back next year, guys. Steven Matz, who lately's been better, but not much this season, and Miles Michaelis, who's been, those guys are both kind of a solid 3 or 4 starter, but we don't have any top-of-the-rotation starters on this team. And none of the assets that we have here is going to, I don't think, produce that. You're going to have to trade a Paul Goldschmidt, or do you think, is there any possibility that something like that happens?
No, the reason I don't think that is Mozeliak has said over and over and over and over again that they want to be competitive in 2024. You don't get competitive. You don't get better in 2024 by trading away one of your 2 best offensive pieces.
Well, let me toss this out there for you, just for food for thought. So we've got this young phenom rookie, Jordan Walker, right? Good batting average, slumping a little bit of late. Definitely has power. He's naturally a third baseman. Well, that's not happening here. And so we put him in the outfield, and he's been horrible in the outfield. I mean, defensively, he's not a good he's never played outfield before. So there's a theory out there that Paul Goldschmidt, who's got 1 year left on his contract and who will be 37 years old next year, would fetch potentially really good top-line starting pitching. And if you move Goldschmidt and you got a pitcher that's controllable, that's an ace, Dylan Cease, for example, the reigning Cy Young winner in the American League, and you move Goldschmidt, you can then you've got a home for Jordan Walker at first base, where his defense will not be the minus that it is now. And Mozeliak has done some things and demonstrated some risk-taking over the course of the years. It wouldn't shock me if Paul DeJong were gone. You think it's totally not gonna happen?
I don't.
You mean
think,
Goldschmidt?
Goldschmidt.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen because even to your point, even with a bad outfield player, your offense is still better with Jordan Walker
and Paul
Goldschmidt and Nolan Arenado.
Granted.
And he's got a year of control left, which the Cardinals like that. It's a deal that the Cardinals worked with him. I think maybe your scenario makes more sense toward the end of next season if the Cardinals aren't in it, but not with a year of control left. I mean, you would have to get not just one pitcher, you'd have to get a lot, just a haul for him.
Well, there's an hour, 40 minutes left to see what happens with this ball club. The trade deadline is here. We're going to step aside for just a moment, gentlemen, when we come back. Young singing, hopefully soon to be sensation, Izzy Mahube is going to join us. She's just released her first EP. Really an interesting young lady from Phoenix, Arizona. We're going to hear some of her music and talk to her right here on 97.1 FM Talk.
You're listening to The Annie Frey Show. Follow Annie on Instagram at The Annie Frey Show.
Have you registered yet for the Tuesday, August 8th event with Thomas Helbig and the staff at Retirement Advisory Group? You need to go to retirementkey.com. The event is 6:30 Tuesday, August 8th, Frontenac Hilton. Seats are limited, so make sure that you register. You can get your spot reserved. Bring a friend, bring some friends. 314-993-9494. That's the number to call. You reach out to them. You say, Annie was talking about a seminar. I'd like to know more. I'd like to check this out. And they'll give you the details that you want to know. 314-993-9494. If you're 59 and a half or older, you don't want to miss this event. They help people exactly like you shift from that accumulation of assets, all the saving and sacrificing you're doing right now in your 401k and your other accounts, to making sure that it's going to be there to live off of when you transition into retirement. You don't have to be afraid. They've got the worry-free retirement right there waiting for you. Sign up for this event. You will not be sad that you did. It's free, might I add. 314-993-9494, retirementkey.com.
Hey, Rob Bradford here. I have set out on a mission with my good friends at FanDuel to prove what I have known for some time. Baseball isn't boring. Now I have a daily podcast to prove it with some of the most notable people in the baseball world, screaming baseball isn't boring from the mountaintops, or at least agreeing to come on our show. Players, managers, GMs, and yes, even the commissioner of baseball, Rob Manfred. It has been a constant wave of baseball's most powerful voices. So join the revolution. Subscribe and soak in Baseball Isn't Boring. Listen on your Odyssey app or wherever you get your podcast. You'll be glad you did.
I was having a lot of sinus infections. My sinuses were clogged, pressure, headaches.
Linda suffered for years with chronic sinus infections.
You don't feel like doing anything. When you feel like your head is completely clogged, all you want to do is just lay down and sleep. And the pressure, it's just not fun, always walking around with a headache.
Now, her issues are gone. How? A minimally invasive procedure done in the office of St. Louis Sinus Centers called balloon sinuplasty.
I really did not know what it was like to feel like you're really breathing and not being so clogged up. I would do it again in a heartbeat, and I would definitely recommend it for someone else.
Do you suffer with chronic sinus infections, facial pain, pressure, congestion? Find out if balloon sinuplasty is the solution for you. Set an appointment today with St. Louis Sinus Centers. Call 314-332-2885. 314-332-2885. That's 314 332-2885.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars and lose the weight guaranteed. Early bird specials at $49.99. Hypnosis designed to destroy unwanted cravings, late day eating binges, boredom eating, stress eating. Also stop smoking with Mark Patrick. No matter how many times you try to quit, this hypnosis is designed to destroy your desire to smoke without cravings, irritability, weight gain, or your money back. Seminars Saturday, August 15th at the Holiday Inn Express and Suites St. Louis Airport in St. Louis. And Sunday, August 6th at the 4 Points by Sheraton, St. Louis, Fairview Heights, and Fairview Heights. Weight loss seminar, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Sign up at markpatrickseminars.com. That's markpatrickseminars.com.
Did you know the IRS is a super creditor? Hi, I'm Lance Drury with the Lance Drury Law Firm. The IRS is the only creditor that can create a bill for you without your permission, then drop the hammer and aggressively collect it by wiping out your bank account, seizing your assets, and levying your wages. No other creditor can do that, and this can all happen without a court approval. If you owe back taxes, you need to be prepared to face the super creditor. Don't just sit back and take it. Fight back. At the Lance Drury Law Firm, we know how to use the laws to your advantage and go toe-to-toe with the IRS. Our office is located right here in St. Louis. Contact the Lance Drury Law Firm today for a free consultation with me, or visit us at lancedrurylaw.com or call 314-260-6120. That's 314-260-6120 to get started.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements.
You're listening to the Annie Frey Show live from the Air Comfort Service Heating, Cooling, and Insulation Studio. Save up to 20% on a new HVAC system when you bundle it with attic insulation. 9 out of 10 homes are under insulated. For a free estimate on attic insulation, visit aircomfortservice.com.
With Odyssey music stations, there's a different station for every taste, and they're all free. Listen to 97.1 live on your phone or browse the selection of music stations and make a soundtrack to your workday. It's all at Odyssey.com. This is the Annie Frey Show.
.225 in St. Louis on a Tuesday afternoon. John Hancock in for Annie Frey, and we're joined right now on the guest line by a young artist from Phoenix, Arizona. Her name is Izzy Mahube. She's just released her first EP, and she joins us right now. Izzy, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
All is well. So is this, am I right? Is this your first EP that you've released?
This is my first EP, yes.
Wow. And how old are you now?
I am 18.
Yeah, I thought so. So you got started, and I became aware of your singing prowess when you were about 13. So you've been serious about this for a long time. A lot of performing that you do. And how much music do you actually write? Because you write all of your own stuff, right?
Yes. I've definitely made it a priority specifically. So I took a year off from college or from school. I graduated high school last year, and so I decided this year to write pretty much full time. So I try to write every day.
Wow. So and you're taking a year off. What doors have been opened for you in the process of the last 5 years as you've gotten into this and gotten more serious about it and had more success and performing? I know you've done some recording in Nashville. Where do you see this thing going?
To answer your first question, definitely the past, I'd say, year and a half has been the most doors open in terms of being able to sign with a record label, being able to perform for songwriters that I've looked up to for many years, and being able to connect and write and do all of that. I kind of forgot your second question. I think you said what I'm doing now.
Yeah, well, where do you think this is headed?
I hope I can just do this for the rest of my life. I am hopeful to go on tour in the next few years, hopefully release a full-length album at some point, but just do more of this, writing and recording and performing. And, yeah.
We've got some sound from Izzy Mahube. What do you have over there, Brad? You got Cool Guy? This is one of my favorites.
I've got, which one is this? My labels aren't really great right now.
Oh.
I've got.
Play what you got. We'll tell you what it is. Here's Izzy Mahube.
My dad warned me to never date a man who plays guitar in a rock and roll band. Dark hair, strings, scars on his hand. So I waited till the end of a show to tell him, hey, I like your brown leather coat. Pull the alarm, someone pull it. Cause it's lies covered up with love, covered up with I'll see you again. But you never did, you never made it. So if I'm the one that you want, tell me now. Cause I'm so tired of waiting. His car smelled.
That is a piece called Cool Guy, and it's one of my favorites of your works. Izzy Mahube is our guest. I guess you can find her stuff. Where can they find your stuff, Iz?
Basically anywhere that streams music, but preferred Spotify because that's like runs the world right now. Spotify.
It does. How would you describe your style? It kind of has a folksy vibe for me.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a sort of eclectic, especially the EP has like, at its core, it's just singer-songwriter. And I think I draw a lot of traces from folk and jazz and alt and just different music that I think is very honest is where I draw my most.
And a lot of it drawn from your personal life experiences. I guess that's a fertile ground for a composer. It's always, I do a little composing myself. And so do you start with a lyric and then find the music that fits it? Or do you create music and figure out what that vibe is and then write lyrics to fit that music?
I think everybody like has the same answer of like, oh, it's very natural or whatever comes first. But I do think the music that lasts or the song idea that sticks is the one that's just the most honest. And like when I let myself be creative or mess up or be messy, then I think that is what sticks. So whether that be a poem that I write that turns into a song or like a guitar riff or a piano idea, I don't play piano, but anything that's just creative and is honest, I think that is the most.
Yeah, and I know for the last few years you've worked with a lot of studio musicians and people that have been in the industry for a long, long time. That's had to be a profound learning experience.
Yeah, I think working with musicians who can like listen to something once and be able to play perfectly what you're hearing but better is like super eye-opening. And so I've definitely taken like the instruments I have already learned a lot more seriously and trying to become the most well-versed musician I can be.
Izzy Mahube is our guest, and Mahoubi is Mahoubi, Phoenix, Arizona. She's just released her very first EP, and we're going to play a little piece of that right now. It's the title track, How to Run.
Keep your voice down. You should know by now that anything you say could set a fire to this town. Now I'm folding like a deck of cards. Damn, you're the king that stole my heart. First time I saw you there, sitting pretty in a motel bar. Silence is questioning the violence tension brings. We were running through the night screaming, I got the money.
And that is How to Run. It's the title track of the new EP by the same name. Izzy Mahube is our guest. You can find her stuff on Spotify. I wish you best of luck, my friend. We'll check in with the career down the road again.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. Have a good week. And there's Izzy Mahube. I'm so excited, these young talents, and she's very talented. And that, for me, that kind of folk-inspired music is, I just find it kind of strokes my heartstrings.
Did you say that you play?
Oh, yeah.
What do you play?
I play piano.
Oh, I think I knew that.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever heard you play piano, but I think I knew that about it.
And I compose. Now, I don't compose commercial stuff. My stuff is, the broad label is ragtime, but you think of ragtime. But it's really more kind of proto-classical music. I'll play you some of my stuff one of these days.
There was a time once that I was hosting a music competition show.
Yeah.
For 2 years, 2 seasons, and the whole thing spawned out of a piano player that one of the producers had seen on a trip, and this guy would walk in from the street and play piano on a lobby piano in a hotel, really fancy hotel. And he would just walk in, and he would do this all the time. And he'd play these amazing pieces. My friend's a musician. He'd go, this guy's unbelievable. So he wanted to make a documentary about this guy.
Yeah.
And it turned into this show, Song Stage. So that guy, though, we found out later, he didn't really know how to play anything other than what he was doing.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it was really interesting because what he was doing was something that was unclassifiable.
Right.
According to pianists, I don't know anything about it. And so people were like, wow, that is really unique. Well, it's because he had no formal training. He had just trained himself to play this thing. But that's what he played. It's just that thing. And so the documentary wouldn't go anywhere because once we found out, that's the layer. There's no deeper layers.
He does one piece
That's
and that's it.
it.
Yeah, well, yeah. So no, I got into composing when I was young. I was 13, same as Izzy, and I love it. Writing music and creating music is just a really cool thing to do, and you're hearing it and you're playing, and there's no constriction on what you can do. You just kind of go with it. I actually hadn't orchestrated anything since I was in college. I was a music major in college for one semester, and I used to do orchestration. It was in my music theory class, and so I wrote a piece for a 4-string quartet. And my daughter and I walked down the aisle to it.
Oh,
to
neat.
the string quartet, and it was pretty cool. Yeah,
That is cool.
That's something special about music. You had some thoughts about what's going on in the body politic.
Well, in the break we're talking about some of the Trump indictments, and I was asking you, what do you think about these? Are they things that are going to take him down? And I don't even know what take him down means anymore.
Right.
What are these things going to do? Because they actually seem to help him with polls. But is there anything that could actually derail his campaign enough, either with the electorate or legally? And the answer is kind of no, right?
I think so. So, if you're following along on all the various indictments, you got the Manhattan district attorney has got an indictment over the Stormy Daniels stuff, which I think is ridiculous. Then there's the indictment from Mar-a-Lago with the documents. And I said from the very beginning, that one is serious. That one carries the most potential damage for Donald Trump because it's a pretty straightforward case. He had documents. The government claimed he wasn't supposed to have them. They asked for them back. He gave some of them back. Then they didn't believe he had given them all back, so then they subpoenaed those documents, and he gave some more back. And then they didn't have all the documents they had asked for, and so then they came in, they executed the search warrant at Mar-a-Lago. They found over 100 more classified documents, and these are top secret, the most secure documents that the government has.
AKA, a president should be able to see them.
Yes, the president absolutely can see them.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely can see them. So the question was he entitled to have them? And that's the crux of that particular case. The government says no. What I think Donald Trump should have done, if he believes that he was the rightful possessor of those documents, which that's the defense I think he's going to mount, then when they were asked for, he should have gone to court and tested the case right there. That no, these are my documents. I'm entitled to have these documents under the Presidential Records Act. The government does not have the authority to force me, to compel me to turn these documents back. You take that case to court. If you win that case, we're done here. If you lose that case, then you give the documents back. And had he given the documents back at any point in time up until the subpoena was released, we wouldn't be here today on this case. And now you've got the superseding indictment that came down last Thursday that, among other things it will do, I think, is prolong the start date of the trial. So the judge, Eileen Cannon, in that case down in Florida, had set a trial date for the middle of May, which would have been in the middle of the nomination process. They would have started the trial. I don't see how that trial begins then. And so the question becomes, does that trial happen before the election? And if it doesn't, and if Donald Trump runs and wins the presidency, that trial never happens, I think. I mean, we're in uncharted historical waters here. I mean, never have we seen anything like this in the history of the country.
Man, my brain is just kind of spinning here. what you're talking about, what he should have done, how he should have argued that in court, should have taken it before court. That's what a smart, intelligent person would do. I don't think Donald Trump's a moron. I think he's a very intelligent person. You don't get to where he got in life by being a stupid person.
Right.
It almost makes me wonder, did he know that this is what would happen, and did he see this as a political victory for
I don't
him?
think so. Maybe. But look, Donald Trump doesn't like being indicted by the federal government. I can assure you of that. I mean, there are political benefits from it. We've seen it. We're living it. But nobody likes being indicted by the federal government, and there's a potential that he's going to be found guilty. I don't think he'll ever go to jail. I don't think he should ever go to jail. But, he wasn't being forthright with his attorneys. That has come out of this case. So the attorneys believed that all of the documents were turned over, and they communicated that to the federal government. And for whatever reason, Donald Trump, now people on the left saying he's going to sell the documents and blah, 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 blah. Well, there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that. And you can't claim something that you don't have evidence for.
I like the one. He still had the nuclear codes. He was going to call
No,
Kim
he didn't have the
Jong-un.
nuclear code, but he did have descriptions of our nuclear program. He had descriptions of our allies' nuclear capabilities. He had documents that describe the U.S. vulnerabilities to attack, as well as that of our allies and adversaries.
Because he was the president.
Because he was the president, he had those things. And so, he was either entitled to have them post-presidency or he wasn't. The government says he wasn't. He's going to say he is, and that's what's going to get adjudicated there.
I don't think that it was political football either. I think that he is so sick of being
told what to do
and come after and smeared by every possible entity in the country that he's just resistant to everything. And they came after him again. They said, oh, those are mine. And he just viewed it as, I am done giving you anything. You guys hated me and tried to take my presidency down, and I'm not going to work with you on anything. Come after me all you want. And so they raided his house. And
they did.
And they keep coming after him, and he's just basically using it to point out the same thing that he's been saying for 4 years, now into 2 more years.
And of course, the other thing is that this is going to be a trial in southern Florida. And to get a conviction, you need 12 jurors to say he's guilty. That's not going to be an easy thing to accomplish with a jury in southern Florida. Now, the jury that they'll impanel in D.C., if there's an indictment on the January 6th stuff, is going to be more problematic, potentially.
And that's what I wanted to, it wasn't just January 6th, but it was the Georgia electors stuff that got us talking about this originally.
Right.
Because what is not being discussed, because people are also saying, okay, the documents case is a strong case against him, at least legally. And then this Georgia case, because he was trying to, quote unquote, overturn it with alternate electors or whatever. And they're coming after alternate slates of electors in Michigan and other places as well. But the more I've looked into those cases, the more I can't help but compare it to 2016, when you literally had 7 faithless electors.
Yeah.
You had people who were told by their state, this is what your state says, you go elect. And they did the opposite, or they did nothing.
Right.
And yet those people were never really found guilty of anything other than, it went to the Supreme Court, by the way. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah, it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court unanimously rejected the ideas, that electors who act on behalf of a state in the Electoral College can exercise discretion.
Right.
So they can't just decide whatever they want to do. Legally now, for sure. And that decision erased a potential complicating factor in future elections, which I think all was good to define that, because it was a little bit undefined. Do these people have discretion or not? But the way that it was enforced was just through fines.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't through this political persecution and, well, we're going to indict you, we're going to put you in jail kind of stuff. It was, you broke the rules as an elector, so we're going to fine you.
Yeah, so the Electoral College is an interesting part of our history. It's unique to the United States. It was put in place by the founders because they didn't really trust the people to directly elect a president. And in the early days of the country, those electors had quite a bit of freedom as to what they would do. And, of course, the number of people who were able to vote early on was very limited. So over time, the Electoral College became kind of a quaint relic of our past. But the court ruled in 2016 that, in fact, you're locked in. You're on a slate of electors that are, each party submits a slate of electors for their state. And whoever gets the most votes in that state, that slate of electors is the one that advances. And so you're now no longer free to change your own mind. I was an elector from Missouri in 2000. That was the Gore v. Bush campaign that was so close. Remember, it came down to the electoral votes in Florida. And there was a great deal of pressure being exerted to get the elector votes to flip over to because it was such a close election, just a couple of votes. But the court's been very clear about that. What the Georgia case is the Republicans were contesting the outcome of the election. And there was a strategy devised in all of these states, Michigan, Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, that we would put an alternate slate of Republican electors together and submit that to Congress and the Library of Congress, which you're allowed to do, under the theory that the elections were going to be contested and maybe the state legislatures would say they're going to throw out the votes and so forth. That's what that was all about. Right. The real key question comes down to, did the Trump people know they lost the election and were trying to circumvent what happened, or were they operating on the basis that they truly believed they had won the election and they were taking contingencies in place to account for that fact? That's what that case in Georgia is going to come down to.
And that seems really obvious that if he's still talking about it 3 years later, he really believed he wasn't just trying to flip it because he wanted to be a king.
Well, that's where the January 6th evidence is going to be interesting. Because, I mean, we haven't seen what Smith's got on that. But if he can prove that Trump knew he lost the election, that is a bit of a game changer. But, I mean, how do you prove that, right?
Yeah, and J6 commission for 2 years couldn't prove it. Right. Now the DOJ thinks they can.
That's right.
Yeah, good luck.
Well, we'll see how that all turns out. That's Ryan Wiggins over there, Brad Range over here, and I'm John Hancock. When we come back, our poll question of the day, which was...
Is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no?
Hannah Gibbs is going to join us, and we'll break it down right here on the Annie Frey Show, 97.1 FM Talk.
The Annie Frey Show is streaming online. Watch us live on YouTube and subscribe.
I think I thought myself to death. I was born without this fear. Now only this seems clear. I need to move, I need to fight. I need to lose myself tonight.
I called and put it on the calendar. I encourage you to do the same. Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights, Illinois, 618-622-1800. I got my appointments in for October. Actually, my kids got in quicker than that. We got them all three in a couple weeks ago. Great experience. If you have kids or you have dental anxiety, Fountains Family Dentistry is the place to go because they are going to treat you like a kid, which is great. They might not give you the Toy Story toothbrush when you get done, but you're going to feel like you are the king. You're going to feel like they are there just to serve you. I've been there enough times to know that that is their goal. That is part of their MO, is to treat you like you are the only patient there. Fountains Family Dentistry in Fairview Heights. Great place to go. Again, whether it's just you or whether you have kids, your kids, you're going to be surprised that they actually want to go to the dentist when it's Fountains Family Dentistry. So give them a call, 618-622-1800. They also make it very easy to make an appointment right there online. So if you don't want to give them a call and you just want to make an appointment, go to fountainsfamilydentistry.com. And it's right there on the homepage. Make an appointment, fountainsfamilydentistry.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely on advertisements.
I'm Jim Onder. When you're injured and in your darkest hour, Onder Law is not only on your side, we're by your side.
Onder Law. Call 314 or 618-9000 to learn more.
This is an important notice to consumers facing $10,000 or more in credit card debt, medical bills, or other unsecured debt. You may not be required to pay it all back because there are special programs now in effect that will significantly reduce the amount you will owe if you qualify. This is not bankruptcy or a debt consolidation loan. These programs, which the credit card companies like to keep secret, exist to aid American consumers struggling with overwhelming credit card debt by offering tremendous savings and real debt relief. Accredited Debt Relief has established a special hotline for you to call and learn what savings you qualify for. They've helped qualify consumers with over $1 billion in debt and are A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau. So don't wait. Get the relief you need during these hard economic times. For this free information, call the Accredited Debt Relief Hotline now. Call 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171. 800-873-7171.
This is a special alert to all Americans who own a vehicle with less than 200,000 miles with an auto warranty about to expire or with no warranty coverage at all. Due to a decline in the economy, CarShield is announcing a low-cost month-to-month vehicle protection plan that is now available to the public to save any driver out-of-pocket expenses on future auto repairs. Call now to find out how you can pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. Yes, you heard that correctly. Pay almost nothing for covered auto repairs. An open phone line has been established for all drivers to call for a free quick quote. Call 800-652-5241 now. Drivers who are covered will not have to pay for covered repairs again. This protection plan is at an all-time low. Additionally, drivers who activate this vehicle protection today will also receive free roadside assistance, free towing, and car rental options at no additional cost. Call us for your free quick quote today. 800-652-5241. That's 800-652-5241. What do you have to lose? Call 800-652-5241. Again, 800-652-5241.
MLBshop.com has everything you need to rep the team you believe in, the players you love, and the community you come from. So snag all those hoodies, caps, jerseys, and swag, and wear your pride with style at home, on the streets, and wherever you go. And with exclusive offers every day, you can unapologetically strut your stuff for a price you love as much as your team. Visit MLBshop.com, the official online shop of Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball trademarks used with permission.
Today's YouTube live chat poll is asking, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Yes or no? Cast your vote on the Annie Frey Show YouTube live chat poll. The time is 2:49. This update is sponsored by Jerry Kelly Heating and Air Conditioning.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Reardon Show.
Scott Jennings. Here's the reality. Hunter Biden has no office. He is not an expert on any of this foreign stuff that he was working on. He only has access to one product. That's the Biden name.
Weekdays from 3 to 6.
St. Louis's home for conservative talk.
This is the Annie Frey Show. Find the podcast, on-demand audio, and more at 971talk.com/Annie.
And the Annie Frey Show wraps things up on this Tuesday, August the 1st, 2023. Our poll results are in. Justin Verlander, by the way, was just traded back to the Houston Astros. And what difference does that make for us? Well, that now puts Jack Flaherty on the clock. He's now potentially the most attractive pitcher in baseball. He may be moving along here in the next hour and 10 minutes. We'll find out. I'm sure Mark Reardon will keep an eye on that as he follows us up today. And Hannah Gibbs is in the room. Hannah, you've been doing some tabulation. I guess we had a little technical difficulty range, did we?
Yeah, we had a snafu with the poll. So if you voted earlier in the show, go back and re-vote. We need your vote again.
It's a little late for that now.
Really quick.
Yes.
The question's asking, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? I'll read some comments from the listeners while you guys flood back to the polls.
We'll do the tabulation.
Yes. Eric Hayes from YouTube said, yes, it is a big deal. It lets us know what we already know, but that's not why. The reason why it is big now is because mainstream media will have to report on it at least a little. So that's why Eric believes that the Devin Archer testimony is important. Lori says that she voted yes, as it will prove for once and for all everything, though, of course, Democrats seem to be no big deal in their eyes. Katie Matthews says, yes, the testimony is a big deal. It will be how the Democrats get Biden to agree to step aside and stop running for re-election.
Well, now there you go. Now that's an interesting take.
That
is an interesting take.
That would be huge. Vicky says, yes, it is big, but with our DOJ and administration, nothing at all will come from it. Once again, the poll is asking, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? Do we want to go around the room and share what we believe?
Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. John, you said it is, so.
I think it's a big deal. It's certainly not a complete deal at this point. There's a whole lot more information that we need to know than what we actually do know. And, is it possible that it's not a prosecutable offense? That's possible based on the information we have now. Is it possible that there was a quid pro quo bribing situation going on? Yeah, that's possible too. You're talking about millions of dollars changing hands to a kid who has no particular skill set in the natural gas space, who can get his father on the phone, who was the vice president of the United States at the time. And I think there's a lot of unanswered questions here. So, yes, it's a big deal.
I agree that it is a big deal and that we're going to find out more. But based on just what we know now, the reason it's a big deal is that the narrative had been, yes, Hunter was doing all this stuff, but Joe Biden wasn't involved. He wasn't on the phone calls. Well, now we find out that that was a lie. He was on those phone calls. He was involved in those meetings. Now it's, of course, shifting to, yeah, but he wasn't really talking business with the business people.
Which is so unbelievable on its face. It's your kid. Hannah, does your mom talk to you about your job?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, to think that
Every
Joe
day.
Biden is not talking to his kid about what he's doing for a living. Son, are you able to put food on the table?
The picture they're painting is that he was walking in the room. Hunter was on the phone with Chinese business people asking for millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And he goes, let me talk to them. I just want to see how they're doing.
Yeah.
20 times.
At least. It's just not credible on its face.
That's just Devin Archer saying
Right.
20 times. That doesn't mean there was only 20
because
times.
that's when he was in the room.
Right.
It's definitely a big deal. And the reason
All
I
right.
say that is any time that you are messing with the American people and using your position in power, I don't know if it's legal or illegal or not, but you're using your position in American power, making policy decisions to enrich yourself that affects the American people, I think that's a big deal. I think that's a huge deal. I think what Devin Archer has here is an opportunity to blow the whistle on something, and I don't know what the upside is for Devin Archer on all this.
Well, he's going to jail anyway on
Right.
an unrelated matter.
So what is the benefit for him to, I don't know, lie about what was going on with Joe and Hunter Biden? I just don't see what that upside is. So yeah, this is a big deal.
Well, lying to Congress is a crime. So
Right.
you don't want to.
That would be a downside.
That's what Michael.
Right.
That's one of the things Michael Cohen went to prison for.
That's right.
Was lying to Congress. All right. Do we have numbers? That's.
We do have the numbers. Do you want to share what you predicted
Yes.
before I give the final
I
results?
boldly predicted.
Okay.
Right here on my little piece of paper here, that the yes would be 84% in this audience and no would be 16%. How'd I do?
Close, but not just there yet. The poll question's asking, is the Devin Archer testimony something big? The yes results were 75%,
Oh, all right.
no 25.
All right, well, that's sort of within the margin of error. Overwhelming 3-1 numbers. So
That's what you would say. Almost 10 points off. You're like, well, that's the margin of error.
9 points. You're talking about if you beat the Vikings 49-3 or you beat them 42-7, does it really matter?
I mean, that's a great comparison.
Politics and Vikings football.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Just come up with whatever
What's
you
the
want.
line from Fast and Furious? It doesn't matter if you win by a mile or an inch. Winning's winning.
Winning is winning, and I was directionally correct. So I'm going to take credit for my prediction.
And also from the Fast and Furious, we're all family here.
Yeah, we are.
It's all about family.
It's all kind of family going on here at the Annie Fry Show. We got the whole family here, except, of course, for Mom, who's in Florida. But she will be back on Monday, and talking about Annie Fry down there.
We
enjoying her vacation. And
we're just laughing at Mom.
If we're a family, wouldn't she be the mom?
She would
be. She is the mom.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the dad? Do we have is this a single mom? I think we
I
might
don't
be
know.
a
It's a single mom.
I don't
family.
think any of us want to take that role.
We're the stepchildren for sure.
Yeah. And I would be redheaded if I had hair. So, John Hancock in for Annie Fry. It's always a pleasure to spend these hours with each of you. I am on my way to the grocery store with my wife's very specific instructions. I will see you tomorrow right here on 97.1.